now I don't. I'm still not scared to die. Like to me, I'm actually the opposite. Like kind of looking forward to the next phase, whatever it is. I'll
Okay.
wait my turn,
Yeah,
but I'm
right,
but I'm
right.
not, but I'm not sitting here like I don't have an attitude like I'm scared of the next thing
Got
or
it.
like whatever. Like I'm ready to embrace when it comes, kind of thing.
Welcome to L.S.D, Life, Song, and Death podcast, where I, Kaylee Smith, talk to folks about the most psychedelic trip called the human existence. Today, I got one of my best friends from childhood, Win Clark, on, and but we were just talking about the light. Yeah, it's a sync light, so it is. I got it from Lowe's for like $19. Yeah, it's like Lowe's version. I think it might be. It might be Phillips, actually. Now that I think about it, I don't even.
That sounds about right. But I wouldn't have been surprised if Lowe's had their own branding of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say on the app. Oh well, whatever. Yeah. So it's like $19, and you can have like multiple altogether, or have like multiple in a setting in like one room. So
Yeah.
you have lamps and things. You can program different color schemes for different things and just change like a setting to be like, I want it to be red and blue,
Oh, that's kind of nice.
and have like these ones over here red, and then like a center one blue, and you can just change. You can name.
And you can change, like, can that one change different colors?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get one for Henley's room then.
Yeah, it's
'Cause,
nice.
I mean, she's got a little night light that does stuff, but she's over time just messes with it when she gets her hands on it.
Oh yeah.
It's on the other side of the room from where she sleeps, but when it's on her changing table, so that's where she gets like a little destructive.
And now that she's getting older, she's playing with
It should be
everything.
2.5 soon on
Yeah.
the 29th. So I guess Monday,
Yeah.
Sunday,
Turn that
something like
down.
that. Sunday.
Sunday,
Next week.
Sunday. But yeah, it's cool because like you can name every single light, and so
Interesting.
yeah, so you can just create a whole scene.
Kind of like cars that have like the seat savers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of nice. I like that.
Yeah, yep. I went over a friend's place and he had like he would just changed. He would be like ambiance and clicking it like everything was like in like a sunset feel, and then he would be like he had a background in theater, and so he would spend a lot of time, I guess, programming everything. I mean, I guess we can just jump right into it. A big story of yours is a narrative of yours is being sober for 3 years. Yeah, and I would love to talk to you about that more.
Yeah, sure.
'Cause I do know that much. 'Cause that's a huge thing nowadays. There's like a sober movement happening, but that's just because people want to be.
Is it really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Not on socials is
Oh,
really
right.
outside of like YouTube
Okay.
or something, but yeah,
Yeah.
not on Facebook or anything.
Yeah. So obviously the weed world is picking up because it's becoming legal. So that's helping a lot with people becoming less alcoholics. But also there's like and it might just be my echo chamber that
Yeah.
that I have in my YouTube algorithm and my but I'm seeing like all these new like alcohol alternative products to get you
Interesting.
lifted, but not without any kind of negative consequences. You can still have control over yourself and your decision making, and
Interesting.
and then also like there's like I was at a rave the other night.
That's what I think of.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Two of my friends, they were running a booth there, vending, and so, but one of the booths was a product called kava. It's a root, and
It's not the restaurant because I love kava.
well, we can eat down some kava, boy.
Yeah,
Let's
I
go.
love kava.
I had it last week, and I was like, ugh, why don't I eat this more
Had
often?
their, the fried pita
Oof,
chips
yes.
every time.
Ugh.
So amazing.
Yeah. Shout out to kava if you want.
Back to the kava, the root.
Yeah. We can shout out to Cobb if you want to sponsor this thing. I'll be all about it. I'll be eating it on camera, baby. But yeah, it's like a root. I heard about it on like Instagram, like an Instagram advertisement.
whatever.
Yeah, advertisement, something. And I was like, oh, I'd love to try that sometime. And then there was like a kava bar that opened up on Main Street about 6 months ago, and apparently it's closing down.
Aw.
Yeah, but I think it's just because of like Main Street is high. I'm assuming high rent or mortgage,
I would
and then you have
imagine,
like
yeah.
a emerging product coming to the scene that no one really knows about. And so if it was already like popping off, then it'd be smart to open up they
Like
need
a
to
Starbucks or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you know you can cover
An
costs.
established.
Yeah. Like, oh, you're not okay, a coffee shop opening up. Okay, cool. That'd be fine. But anyways, yeah, so it's like I don't know. I tried a little bit of it. Just a sample just cuz I wanted to see what
Change your life.
it was magical. I already had an alcoholic drink, so,
Yeah.
so I couldn't tell any difference. But
That's fair.
I was like, I don't know. But I also just had like a sip just to see what it tasted like. It tasted like matcha or yerba mate, one of the two.
Not really familiar with either of those.
Okay,
things.
so matcha is like a micro ground green tea.
So it's like green tea.
Yeah, but it's way more earthy.
Okay.
And then same with yerba mate. That's also
So
yerba
an
mate is
earthy green tea.
yeah. It tastes
I can
like
somewhat imagine that.
yeah. You have to add some kind of additive.
I was thinking about dirt.
That's basically what it tastes like.
That's where my brain went.
That's basically what
make
it
it
tastes
earthy.
like. Yeah. Yep. But so with the emerging and then there's a lot of scientists now coming out against alcohol and being like how bad it is for your brain, and this is your brain on alcohol. Even one glass a week can give you 7 times more Alzheimer's than your. I'm like,
Interesting.
I don't know about that.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was like, it all coming out at one
That's
time.
true. I'm screwed. So I'm 3 years sober and I'll never drink again.
Yeah.
But I drank a lot over 14 years. So
Yeah. Yeah.
more than probably multiple people over a lifetime of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that didn't have an issue with it.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. Especially harder like liquors and things. That's
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I was never a real big liquor guy.
I really just liked whatever took me
Gotcha.
into the oblivion part of things, helped me numb things.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's I don't know, it might be my conspiracy theory brain kicks in because I'm like, out of nowhere, so many different doctors are coming out of nowhere and being like, yeah, alcohol is so bad for you. I'm like, okay, maybe there's something behind it. It might be, or it just might be that it's a emerging understanding.
I mean, when you think about people that get like, liver damage or whatever, like physical damages from alcohol, accidents that are caused, I've had my own DUI,
yeah.
an ordeal. Like, I mean, when you add in everything, like the product makes money
Yep.
for the world every year
Oh yeah.
and a surplus every year. But how much damage, like when you weigh it, if you took the money aspect out of it, is it really worth it?
Mm-hmm.
If, millions of people were affected in a negative way globally a year on something, I mean, just with COVID, I don't know how many people ended up dying, but I know it was in the lower millions.
Yep. Which is a
Pretty
lot.
sure alcohol was probably about that many a year already.
Oh yeah.
So it's just if people look at it differently. If you don't look at it at marketing and how much money you can make out of it,
Yep.
which is a lot to make. That's why marijuana use has went up, and that's starting to be taxed, and because people going through the right channels sometimes.
Right.
But,
Yeah. Sometimes.
but when you go those avenues, I mean, I market and that's only going to skyrocket as well. And then I think that's why it's swapping out, because they're able to replace what alcohol was doing. Which I will say, I don't believe I would have had a DUI and had a failed marriage and all these things if I would have been a pothead versus an alcoholic. But we don't always choose what we struggle with, right?
Yeah,
Like-
I would say so. Yeah, we all have our weird genetics.
yeah.
Yeah. You said that you were just trying to numb yourself. What do you think that you were numbing yourself from?
Oh man, just childhood, just life, just I mean at the time I was like 17 and a half, like I was getting towards the end of I was probably like right in the middle actually of like my junior year.
Mm.
Cuz I think it was the winter and I'm December baby. So I would have turned. It was probably like I want to say January or February, right after I turned 17. So not quite 17 and a half actually,
Mm-hmm.
but and it was my first job, and a lot of the guys when they shut down at night, like they ended up bringing alcohol in, and not everybody was old enough. Some people were, but
This was
everybody,
restaurant.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Captain D's
Yeah.
was my first venture that my grandfather actually helped me get the job there because he ate there several days a week and went up to the owner. He's like, hey, because I started there when I was 16. Um, just a few months before I got my license because I needed to pay for my car insurance and things like that. So cell
Mm-hmm.
phone bill, which I believe the cell phone bill back in the day was like $10 a month for like my line on my family plan or something, maybe 20, but that was it.
Good
Like,
old days.
I mean, I had a flip phone, so I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't watch movies on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, in retrospect, like it really wasn't that much money I had to spend, but it felt like so much then. But this is also a time when we can go and get a combo at like Burger King for like $4.50 or
Mm-hmm.
$5, and it's like 3 times as much than that now.
Yep.
So different times. I mean, the minimum wage was $5.15. I remember that.
It's kind of sad
And
that it hasn't grown that much though.
not really, not enough.
Yeah.
But and it's so slow when they implement it, like so gradual. Um, but yeah, I was working there for a while. But once I started getting, you know, higher in high school, and I'd been there probably about a year, I started closing more, and that's
Mm-hmm.
when they started to, size up if I was going to be somebody that like snitched, so to speak,
Yeah.
or was going to be cool with it. And I was a very sheltered young man, and I definitely wasn't going to like rat on anybody, but I definitely wasn't. I didn't really know how I felt about it. I definitely had heard my whole life. I was raised more in the if you drink alcohol, it's it could lead to hell. It's of the devil. It's nobody in my realm of people, the family, friends, anybody that I was connected with, yeah, drank it all mostly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I was around a few people that I wouldn't know certain things. And I remember certain events I'd go to, and my parents would very much, there's going to be alcohol there, and we can't do anything about it, and
Got
that
it.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So my perspective of it, and my great grandfather was an alcoholic, and
Mm-hmm.
heard stories of that. Like he's my this was my mom's dad, and so his father. Uh, had 7 kids. My grandfather was one of them, and they all shared the same room and put like bed sheets, hung it from the ceiling to like separate their spaces through in the room.
You said this was your grandfather?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
Pop Pop.
Wow.
And
Holy smokes.
there was uh, sometimes he would go to school and they wouldn't have shoes because they couldn't buy new ones, and
Yeah.
so sometimes he'd skip school because he was too embarrassed to go to school because he couldn't wear shoes, or nobody supplied him any. And you know that was my perspective growing up. So I definitely had a very negative way of looking at it when I was growing up. And then when I got into my teenage years, you start hearing about it more. You start to realize more families do it than you thought.
Drinking alcohol. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially when you're not around it at all. Old school Baptist
Yeah.
raised, so there is none of that. They just know how to eat, and I ate well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but so I didn't really know how to feel about it. I definitely had some anxiety, like when I'll never forget, it was a Heineken. It was like I guess a 32 ounce, 40 ounce, something like that.
That's a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, and he just put it down in front of me. He was
Yeah.
just like, you want to try it? And I'm just like, and I didn't.
Yeah, as a fly.
So, but I just remember looking at it and kind of almost didn't even know how to respond.
Uh-huh.
It was like fear gripped me, but I was also curious at the same time. So I ended up pause for effect. Ended up taking that drink, and but I'll never forget that experience. Like I've been in recovery now for a while, and I've been in and out of the rooms a lot longer before I've even been prior to the 3 years that I've been
Yeah.
sober.
Mm-hmm.
Because and we can get to that, but my first touches on it were in 25 now, so it was back in 2016, early
Mm-hmm.
2016 was my first like AA meeting and stuff that I didn't want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember being in the back of the Captain D's, and I remember it was on the back prepping counter, and he put it down, and I took a sip, and I just remember how the flavor of it. I remember like the warmth going down like hit my belly and just like absorbing all over the walls and of
Mhm.
my insides, and it just felt so cozy. And and that was really it. Like I just never really turned. I just accepted that uh that was going to be an answer for my problems.
Mm.
And I didn't truly see how much, if I weighed it on the positive attributes that
Yeah.
alcohol was bringing in my life versus the negative, I didn't really look at it that way until not long after I got sober this time. Like I just didn't really. It's almost like an alcoholic. We're very good at talking ourselves into that everything's gonna be fine, and
Yeah.
or that rat race of or the little hamster wheel thing of
Mhm.
I'm gonna get it this time, like, because once it started to take off and it started to like get out of control, and I was probably in my young 20s when I started. I mean, I guess it was kind of out of control when I started, because at 17, still in high school, a junior at the time, you know I started drinking and driving right off the bat. Like, I had to get
That's
home. So,
crazy.
like, that was my experience. It wasn't a planned thing. It wasn't like I was going to a party and I just I could prepare myself for my first drink, and what
Right.
they like. It was just, there was no plan. Even the night that I worked there, I didn't have any inclination that they were going to put it in front of me. And of course, I wanted to be accepted, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of that peer pressure. But some people continue to do those types of things and grow out of it because they realized it was just peer pressure they succumbed to.
Yep.
I genuinely felt like I found like a friend that I'd been
Mm.
looking for, and that's what alcohol was for me. I mean, it was.
Do you think that it became like a long lost friend because it was like repressed? Like saying like here in America we parade the 21 drinking at 21, like hey whatever, whereas over in like Italy for instance kids are drinking a little bit of wine at or a glass of wine at dinner or something like that, and it's no like there's no like stigmatism.
Stigmatism.
Is that it? What's the thing with the eye? Is that a stigmatism too?
That's a stigmatism too. I
Okay.
think, yeah.
I was like, wait a second.
English isn't the smartest language.
No, it's not. Yeah, thanks, overlords. um, yeah, because there's not a stigmatism to it that when you're growing up, it's just like something that's just cultural, and so it's not like this dark horse there. Do you think that caused something, or is it just like
I
in
mean,
you from that you just had?
from knowing myself and
Yeah.
how I tend to have more of an addictive personality,
Okay.
I'm getting better at controlling, in other aspects of my life
Mm-hmm.
in ways that I couldn't do with alcohol, just with maturity and age and life experience. But alcohol was not one of those things. Like, I don't think it would be so destructive maybe so soon. Maybe I would have been an alcoholic that would have hit my rock bottom in my 60s versus in my early 30s,
Yeah.
late 20s. I mean, I got sober at 31. Yeah. But I believe I probably would still ended up there. I just think I just kind of got thrown into it just with drinking and driving right off the bat. Like, that was my norm. And, when I hear people like only drove drunk like maybe once and regretted it, never did it again, like, that's what I look at as somebody that's not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And that's what that's what that tells me, that you're responsible. I mean,
That right there is the definition of not an alcoholic.
you do not have a problem.
Yeah.
Or you hear those people that they got drunk hard once off of wine, and they just
Yeah.
never, they continued to have a glass of wine here and there, whatever, but they
Yeah.
never drank to being drunk.
Yeah, that's my
anymore.
mom. She just doesn't like it.
Which I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
you're not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Call you a responsible adult. like it's just crazy. But that was not something. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
That was a vision of myself that I chased. I chased not being able to be that person that would go to work events or go to wineries with friends,
Yeah.
or not be that person that just doesn't drink.
Yeah. And you worked really hard to try to make that happen.
Worked very, very, very hard. And I, on retrospect, I mean, I damaged a lot of relationships, a lot of
Yeah.
friendships, a lot of women that had come and gone in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Many of which I probably I don't remember everybody. Like, it's I don't have regrets. Is like, I know a lot of people have lists. We all have lists that if we go to when somebody says regrets, there's a few things that pop up
Yeah.
in each individual, and be
Yep.
like, oh, that's something that I could just erase over. Like I would do it. Um, I don't really operate that way now because I don't really believe I would be who I am right now
Yep.
if I didn't have every experience and went down the paths that I needed to go down to learn. Because if I didn't, alcohol specifically, I mean, it caused a lot of damage, but I don't believe I'd be the person I am now without those experiences, without going to jail for it, without seeing the inside of, you know, of more of the system on like because I had to stay at like a privatized owned jail.
What's your thoughts on that?
I'm very against it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll never forget like when it just hit me one day that I was just like looking around and it was the first time I noticed really my skin color.
While
Like,
you were in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean it's predominantly Hispanic and black,
Mm.
overwhelmingly, and which it's like whites overwhelmingly have more people, so it was just weird because
Especially
like
here, we're a very
Yeah.
diverse city too.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like where you went, anybody could go. It's not like
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a predominantly one demographic. But that's wild.
absolutely. Yeah, it was something that I noticed, and then when I found out how like this private, it was basically like 6 or 7 counties. Chesterfield was one of them, which is one I was in. Technically still in at the moment.
Yeah.
But among many other counties around the Richmond area, and not Richmond itself, but just the surrounding ones. And but mainly people locked up there is people from like Hopewell, Petersburg area, Prince
Yep.
George. But I just noticed, and when I found out that it was like those different districts had judges that went in it together to like build, and I'm like, so the same judges that are putting people in jail are benefiting from people they're putting into jail, and I'm like, that's not how it should work.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. It's just pretty messed up in my head. I mean, to me, that's like an argument of like Supreme Court and everything and what they should or shouldn't do, and it's just like, but we let judges like this just have power like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean that's like a revolving door business for them, and it's it's very unfortunate using people as batteries.
And I'm sure it was pitched differently in the beginning,
Yeah, sure.
or at least to the more peasant type
Yeah.
folk.
yeah, maybe. I don't know about that. I would have to do my research on that one.
Yeah, but I just saw what it was like on the inside, and I mean, it definitely wasn't quite as bad as people make it out to be. And there was bad. I mean, I definitely saw some things in there, but there's a misconception. A lot of people that have not been locked up get stuck in that jail and prison are like the same thing almost.
Yeah.
And they're so not. I've never been to prison, but
Thank God.
But if I could have chose where I stayed in my year for doing for the DUI, as I had a hit and run involved with it. It was a felony, and to get out of all that, I did or the only way I could get out of the felony is doing the max on a DUI, first offense, and the misdemeanor hit and run. Which the difference between the misdemeanor hit and run and the felony hit and run was $1,000 or less, or $1,000 or more
Of damage?
of damage. That was it. Like, which
interesting.
nowadays is like $1,000.
That's a light.
Yeah, like that's not going to take much.
Yeah.
So there's very few people. I mean, I don't know what you had to hit that's that little nowadays, but there's not much you can do.
$1,000 is 4 tires.
I mean, it's not a lot. So
That's crazy.
isn't it?
Holy smokes! Now just like they're just handing out felonies and
And this was 2016,
right.
so I don't know if I haven't looked at the law since then, so I wouldn't imagine they'd probably up it to be like 5,000 or more.
No.
But with how fast car prices went up, I wouldn't be surprised if there was any tweaks in any states on like laws like that, just because values of vehicles just went up.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point of having the misdemeanor category?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, they're just handing them out like the dealer at a table.
But, so but I spent some time in there. I did. For my DUI, I had to do. It was a year, but I mean, I did about 5 or 6 months in the main jail, and then I moved over to the work release building. But they also had like the workforce. So for 6 weeks when I got over there, because part of the deal was that I was going to try to get work release. It just wasn't granted at court. We were going to have to resubmit for it.
Right.
And that was just to make sure like I behaved myself while I was in there,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly to make me wait, because having left there on work release, I understand why the prosecutor did not want me to have work release the entire time, because I literally just worked every day for like the last 5.5 months of my sentence.
Right.
You know, was able to save a month over that time, because we had to pay rent too. I had to pay $119 a week, and that was
To be in the working quarters?
yeah, to be in the work on work release. That was because the daily rate on just a jail inmate is $3.
Okay.
But
And
for me, I
the
think
person in jail has to pay that?
yeah, if you want to like go to the store or canteen or however
okay.
you know it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
If not, you got to ride somebody's books. We can get into that later.
Yeah.
Just using somebody's account, and people will send money to that person's account
Okay.
for you to go off of, because let's say somebody doesn't have the money to just stay up in standard, because it's $21 a week.
Right.
I mean, this is then too. I mean, I'm sure it's probably went up now. It's probably $5 a day now.
Right.
But that adds up if you don't have money at all. So if somebody's just trying to like drop you a Christmas time gift of $25 or $30 or $50 or whatever,
That's just barely getting rent.
that
there.
if they send it to your account, it just gets wiped away because you're in the negative.
Right.
So I had like savings set aside and everything. I mean, I stayed up in standard, was able to eat, buy the ramen soups and stuff
Right.
like that, and honey buns and whatever was on
Yeah.
it. And there was some productive kind of meals. I've had some of the best meals I've ever had in my life in jail, which is the most ironic thing I would have never thought of. I mean, it's where I learned what a swole is, and it is.
What's that?
It's like it's a bunch of ramens put
Okay.
in there. You can make it different ways. I was taught like with a dill pickle, you can get a big old dill pickle off a canteen in there, like an actual huge dill pickle within this plastic little
Like the ones
thing.
that at Wawa.
Yeah, which I never noticed until like after the fact.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I never, because that's never something I went out. I'm just gonna go out and buy one pickle.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it has that in there. It has like cheddar cheese or like jalapeno cheese
Okay.
that you can put in there. We'll get like
you
salami
boil it?
sticks or beef sticks,
Okay.
and we'd cut that up, put that in there. You put tuna in there, crush up like Dorito bags, put it in there.
All right, so you have like the ability to like boil things?
So it depends on like, I mean, everybody probably not. Like we had microwaves, so you could heat up some water.
Okay.
But if you didn't have that, you could just put the water as hot as you could. Maybe it's not as hot as you'd like it to be, but you could still make what you're making. It just wouldn't.
Sink.
I mean, well, one of the ways that we would do it is we would get these like containers, like just
Okay.
this little
Container.
small little container
Yeah.
that you could put like, because you'd get like 3 white t-shirts, a pair of shorts, a green jumper. At least that's what I had. Some
Yeah.
people's orange. I mean, I had orange on the workforce and work release when I had to walk in and out of the building.
Oh yeah.
And being transferred over, I was at Chesterfield. I mean, even though I was in for like alcohol stuff, they do short time or more stuff now. Like they got like a drug rehab kind of thing. So it's one of those things you go through, and maybe after a few months, like if you complete it, you don't have a felony on your drug charge or something. So that's more of like what Chesterfield's like more based at. So for me doing a year and everything, they just like ship you up. But I mean, I was with people that had 2 weeks and they got shipped off to Riverside. So it's like, it really is no telling. But I knew like with a year, like they were probably going to send me there. And, I went down to like, it's almost like solitary, but you're with a cellmate.
Yep.
And it's just like, it is what solitary would be. If you had the room to yourself, like you're just locked in there and it's just like the movies.
So you were making stuff in a container.
No. That was just to be transferred. But so once I got I was only there for like 2 or 3 days,
Yeah.
and then I'm transferred to Riverside, and then it takes you like 5 days to a week to like get from the front of the building, get checked in because you have to go to a housing pod, and that's where like maybe you're in there for something bad, and that's where they're gonna put you over. Like that's what building? I don't remember what building I was in. Maybe 3 or something. I don't know. There's 5 main buildings at the jail, and then the 6th building is the work release workforce building. But and I think the women are housed there. They only need like 1 pod, just because.
Yeah, men do stupid shit.
Yeah, and women also don't usually get charged as much as men do.
Yeah. So you were back making I'm still fascinated by you making this swole.
So the container lid
Yeah.
we would take off, and you could take it out there. It depending on if the CO was like cool with you,
And
like
your
cooking.
clothes came in that? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
The
I mean,
container?
that's what you would store it in. Like
Oh,
they'd give you
okay.
3 t-shirts. They would just give
Got
you
it.
the bare minimum.
Got
They'd
it.
give you
Okay.
tidy whities that like other men had worn.
Yeah.
Now, once you go to the store, if you could do that and you were able to have money, or if you didn't have it, people put money on your book. Especially, usually you'd see that a lot in the beginning. Somebody be like, I can't, keep that afloat for you, but I can throw 200 in right when you get in there. So the first few weeks, you can at least stock up on all your hygiene.
Okay.
Get multiple toothpaste, just something to hopefully last you a while, as well as some food. But it was more of like t-shirts. You could buy boxers, things like that, and which was very nice to just not have something that somebody else wore, nor fit you,
Yeah, right.
right? Because somebody else wore it. So that was one of those, and remember, not trying to be too vivid, but it's fascinating to me because one of my favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
And remember in the beginning when like he's standing there like got like covering his mid area, but he's naked.
Yeah.
And like they throw the powder on him and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's what they didn't throw it on me though. They just give you the stuff and you just have to rub it all in the areas they tell you to rub it. And then you get back in the shower and this cold ice shower, like Alaska ice. I haven't been to I have been to Alaska actually, but I haven't been in the water.
Wait a second.
I haven't been in the water in Alaska. But it was one of those things like it was very humiliating. Like just standing there in front of somebody, it's like, am I good?
Right.
And I think it was like a delousing thing in a way, like make sure you're not bringing lice.
Oh, yeah.
Primarily, probably within the jail, whatever. But I mean, and then they hand you clothes that don't fit. Like you ask for one size, you get others. I mean, you definitely. They provide you with things that is needed, but not necessarily in all the nitpicks that we would do in normal society. I mean, I wasn't free. I mean, I was
doing whatever
ward
they
of the
say.
state or whatever it is. Like, but but that looking at the movie now, it's just like, man, like that was so. I just didn't have that lineup where they like fear the God in you. Like that didn't happen. You just go on to your thing and into your pod and everything, and but then you stay there for a few days and you're just around people that most of them you won't ever see again because even if you get shipped off to the same building, there's like 5 pods within that building, so A through E, and it's no telling if you're going to end up. So very rarely I didn't come within. The time I got to my final building in pod, nobody was with me anymore, which I was in low custody,
right?
DUI, and I think low custody is 10 years or less prison time or jail time.
Jail time.
So, well, it's jail time there. You'd never, most you're doing jail is like maybe 24 months. And that's if you get like, let's say with my hit and run, just to bring people in a little bit, like my reckless driving while drinking.
Yep.
And I was out getting stuff for a job I was about to start the next day at an electrical company I was going to try out in my mid-20s. And it was the day before I was about to start, and I hadn't bought actual steel-toed work boots. It was the only thing I needed, which I knew I had all day, whatever. So I went out and got my car detailed that morning. There was some like cement stains on the side, and I went through like a car wash, like one that they actually like hand washed and stuff, and they got all that stuff off, made it pristine.
Ironic.
You probably remember it was the white Hyundai Elantra that I had years ago. I only had it probably not even a year or so before I wrecked it. Because I think I got it early 20. Yeah, it was literally I had it about 14 or 15 months, and it was paid off and everything, but it was like it's crazy. But
I always fear after I fix my car because I've had
something's gonna happen to it.
so many accidents.
At least yours aren't alcohol. Really,
no. No, but
yours just getting tired.
Or
weather.
Weather. Yeah, like after I totaled my second car. Well, my second car I totaled. It was like a couple weeks after I got my windshield replaced. I was just like, I just spent $400 on this thing, and now it's totaled. But
that's what's up.
Yeah.
So, I want to get back to like making the swole for you. So
but you were telling.
So yeah, I had my my hit and run that day. I don't know where the last thing I just said, but just to let everybody know, like, yeah, I caused an accident later that very day that I needed to buy some. I probably had about 20 shots of vodka at least. Like I was definitely lit halfway through a fifth,
Oh my goodness,
you
that's
know, and
so
it was
much.
like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon too. Like, I mean, I had started at like 11 o'clock that morning, 10 o'clock that morning,
That's insane.
and I do remember. I don't remember a lot about that the day in the accident, but I do remember calling my grandmother and asking her how to get home. And I was on Midlothian Turnpike, and where
Yeah,
she
you're not that
lives,
far.
like that 10, 15 minutes away. Like for me to get like not be able to like figure it out for a second, and I think I had taken Powhite the wrong direction, and then had to like do a U-turn down where like how you would get to Stony Point,
Yeah,
make that little turnaround,
yeah.
and then when I was coming back, like I just my memory was that I was just driving, and that somebody was like coming in my lane, and then like hit like got out of the way, and then I hit the side of the road and bounced back on, and then I just remember driving home like casually. And when I got home,
You're like, wow, that was a weird experience.
the first thing I did when I got home was call the insurance company to call in that somebody had forced me off the road accident, and something that I really believed to be the truth.
Yeah.
And then a police officer showed up like down the neighborhood, and there was two people that had. Then I found out the truth, that two people were trying to follow me home, um, from the accident, and uh, one person couldn't because I was hitting like 85, 90, and they just eventually backed off. But the other person like followed me all the way, the 5 miles home or whatever.
Yeah.
And
That dude's like, I'm
because this
breaking
was
the
over
law
by
too.
like, yeah, this was off of like Jank Road and like Powhite. So I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't that far away from like, within 10 minutes home kind of thing. And but that was not my perspective. I had a very uh slurred perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and then I come to find out like I had uh probably may have hit, like there was some arguments, I don't remember. Regardless, I caused the accident. Like it was a mom, a single mom actually, of two kids. And she was, I remember, I don't have it anymore, but I had one time their names. I wish I would have kept it, but um it just had her name on it, and which I don't remember, but I remember her. I remember the ages. I remember hearing that she was a single mother,
Hmm.
and she was black too. And at the time, that was a big thing with white people getting out of things.
Yep.
So that was I deserved everything I got. I don't really feel like I got. I mean, I feel like I was blessed with the deal that I got. A lot of people on the inside told me how much I got screwed and everything, and I'm like, yeah, there was a 30-year-old mom, a 10-year-old boy, and a 4-year-old little girl, and my actions made them run off the side of the road, flip over twice, and the 10-year-old boy just needed like 3 stitches on one of his hands, on the
Right.
top of one. That was it. Only injury. Mother never went after me in civil court, nothing. And if it was reversed, I don't know if I don't believe I would have handled it quite the same way.
Hmm.
Um, but and that was part of the deal the prosecutor made, was that for me to get that deal on the max sentence, to get out of being a felon, the mom had to, or the mother, but the individual, the lady, had to agree, that I could do that. And I wasn't in part of the conversation, but it was at a different part of like the courtroom when nothing was going on, so like you can talk in corners and stuff,
Oh, okay.
and they have side rooms and things. But I remember I could see her when the prosecutor was talking to her, and I remember she glanced over at me and just kind of like looked back at him and shook her head and everything.
Because you were how old this time again?
25.
Okay.
So I'm 30, almost 35 at the end of the year. So it's about
Yeah.
10 years ago now.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking it's been that long. But yeah, we.
Yeah. I was just thinking about her mentality of just being like, okay, hey, I'm a
Which, speaking of it, you were there, weren't you?
where?
At the court hearing. You were at that court, or were you late? No, you were there.
No, I mean, I went to everything that you were
Yeah, I
a
think
part of.
you were there that day when I did the deal.
Yeah.
I remember you weren't very. I didn't know it at the time, but I heard after the fact you weren't very happy with the
Yeah.
with the outcome. Which, we were all hoping that I'd get like time, a little bit of time, like
Right.
a month or two, or weekends or something like that. And I held on to that too. Like I just, I stayed sober the entire like 7 months out. I was on bond. I never had any issues. Everything was always paid up. Court fees were paid days of. Like, I mean, I thought I had everything. I had a sponsor at the time,
Yeah.
and I was, and I drank the Kool-Aid of AA at that time, and but a lot of it is that I remember going for my first several. My first one was a little different because my parents took me because when you get a DUI that first week, or at least in Virginia, they suspend it for a week, and then you can get it back at the end of that if you're out on bond or
Your
whatever.
license?
Yeah,
Okay.
before you're convicted, and it's just a week. It's just an automatic thing you get.
Mm-hmm.
And so my wife at the time kicked me out uh, for a little while, and I was at
Go
my
live in
parents.
your car. I'm just kidding.
I was at my parents, and for about a week or so,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't. I talked my way back in the house fairly quickly, but I started over there until I got my license back and everything. And the job that I was about to start graced me with letting me start a week later. I called the guy, and the owner of the company, and straight up told him like what had happened, and he showed some grace and was just like, "Sound like you're having a tough time, and you've learned a little bit from your
Yeah.
lesson." I wish that would ring true completely for the end of my alcoholism. That one thing just did it all. But that was not how my story unfolded. But I did start that job, and I worked that entire job, that 6.5, 7 months that I was out on bond. Um, and then I didn't return to that same job, which was fine because in my little dabbling within electrical work, like I was good at it. I would have been a fine electrician. I had no passion for it.
Right.
But I learned enough that I can replace things around the house, and you know, just basic things that most people could do. Um, it just seems intimidating when you don't know anything about it.
Oh yeah. 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 Electrical currents can kill you
Yeah,
very
and I've been
easily.
shocked.
Yeah.
Probably I don't know the highest I've been shocked, at least 240. But I've definitely felt the grip and come down, and your heart's racing, and you're just, am I gonna die? And you don't, and that's when you trust somebody to tell you when something's off, that it's off.
Yeah.
So, but I will say one time I got my pair of Kleins I had like completely got obliterated. But it's because it had like the non-shock grips.
Yeah.
So like it was a live thing, and it damaged some of the metal within like the grip on the Klein, like actually does the work for you.
Yep.
But I didn't get shocked. Just definitely saw a bright light and blinded me for a second. But it's like, and then somebody's like, "It's dead now."
You're like,
Because then it
"Thanks."
was, because then it tripped it tripped it. So
Could have told you that.
yeah, but it was just kind of ironic because I didn't plan on going back anyways. I had already established during that time. I was like, once this all settles out and I know my fate, like I'm gonna get into something else or whatever. And it's it definitely wasn't planned. It's kind of ironic. It's kind of what led me to my job now, and it wasn't even my next job. It was just my work release job was my job for like 2.5 years after I got out. I was there for almost 3 years. Now I've been at my job currently for like a little over five, almost 5.5 years.
Yeah.
But it's just how the story unfolded and everything. And, but yeah, I mean, I definitely look at that experience and I see it more clearly now, like being sober 3 years, like that first year of sobriety, you work through a lot, you feel a lot. I cried a lot, and I kind of keep redoing that because I keep getting all things like, maybe, I don't even know, maybe about a year ago or so, I got off of antidepressants,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd been on one for like 8 years, Lexapro, or the generic, whatever.
Right.
But I was on that for a long time, and I had upped it to the highest that you could have it at 20 for probably the last couple of years, and I basically quit that mostly cold turkey. I don't advise that ever.
Yeah.
Like that was definitely tapering I don't tend to do that. I tend to just
Your story.
I just tend to stop whatever it is.
Yeah.
I stopped alcohol on the dime, like
Yeah.
when I eventually did stop, and I stopped. Which that was the only way I was going to quit that, anyways. There was no tapering off alcohol for me. Taper me to stay an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like that's all that would have done, and I just remember. Kind of lost my train of thought there, but Anyways, back to the swole thing. We'll circle
Dun
back.
dun dun.
So
I've been so excited to
all right.
wait.
So either if the CO was cool, that
Yeah.
was like guarding, somebody just set up at like a little station. And some jails, depending on where you're at, they're like in a thing that you don't even see. They're just overwatching.
Uh-huh.
If there's a break, they send people in there. The goons is what they could be called.
Goons.
And but you take the lid of it and
Hey,
you wipe it off real good. Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking the Goonies.
So you clean off the top and everything, and then you heat up all the individual ramens by themselves, or to get or you get a trash bag. A lot of the times, if you can get a guard to give you one.
Right.
And I never made a mass one. I made smaller swirls for like me and one or two people, or just my own or whatever. It may not be quite as good as if you can get all the ingredients with so many people.
Yeah.
But when you do that, like they would try to get a trash bag and get them all heat, get them all the noodles good to go, and then pour that out and then start. And that's usually you would use not every ramen packet you had. Like maybe there's 10 ramens that went into a big thing, and you would get plastic bowls you could keep with lids that you could buy on Canteen. And I mean, your swole that I would get would be all the way to the brim. Like, I mean, it is a kava, it is a chipotle meal with beans and rice. Like, it is heavy. Like, it's a meal. And but they would use that, and either they would I've seen people take off, like undo the trash bag and put it on like in the cell. I'm sure you've seen some jail movies where you see like the metal like countertop that's within the jail cell or whatever.
I've seen like a.
If you ever watched Orange Is the New Black, it's a very similar
Haven't seen
depiction of what I went through. Like the
Okay.
mirrors, even the reflection metal that they have on the wall,
Yeah.
that you can see a reflection. It's just a very
It's not glass.
watered down. Yeah, it's not. You can't see
Yeah.
it when you're shaving. You can't see. It's very cloudy.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, you can see enough to do what you need to do, but you're not seeing all those little imperfections that you would want to fix about yourself.
Okay.
It's not that clear. But that's in there, and you got the metal cold, like no lid. No, I mean, it's just the toilet. There's no lid to pop on it. It's
Yeah,
just this little skinny thing, and sink on the wall and that and everything. And there's no way to hurt yourself.
Or others.
Right.
Yeah.
And but some people would take the trash bag and they'd rip it open and then bring the ramen and just cook on like top of the counter thing in their cell. And then everybody would bring their bowls, or they would have a collection, and then just bring that have like their cellmate. So Celly is a nickname. And you give it to your Celly and have them distribute it out to where it needed to go, whatever. But it was just the more people in it, the better, because that means more ingredients. Like, I mean, tuna fish. I mean, this has been a while, but I mean, it was like $4 or $5 to get that, and you could only like purchase $65 worth of stuff. This was at the time when ramen was like 78 cents a piece. I'm sure now it's $2 a ramen or something. I mean, because that was at a time when you could buy ramen for like 10 cents a thing. I mean, they're definitely making money, and that's the thing. A lot of the times it's like the family of the people that get locked up that really end up paying all this money. Paying to talk to them. Like every call is maybe $3 for a whole 15-minute call.
I remember that.
And and it takes, and it's eaten up with trying to get them to answer the phone.
Yep.
Like, to go through the spiel of like, you have a call from Riverside Regional Jail Authority, and go through that whole thing.
Press this button.
And then at the last minute,
Yep.
it's like 5 minutes remaining. You have 2 minutes. It's just always taking up even more time.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, hey, call me back. Oh, no, I'm going to call you back, but answer. There you go. You couldn't call me, but I call you.
Yeah.
And but it's just how much money has just gone into that, especially me. Like, I had a lot of anxiety at the time, and I definitely wanted to stay on the phone as much as I possibly could until I got on work release, and then I was able to have my cell phone, like when I was at work and stuff. You just we'd have lockers when we got back, and you put your street clothes in there and all that stuff.
How is that?
Just your shoes. You could take your clothes back to the pod and work release.
Okay.
'Cause you had a little washer and dryer in there. I was able, we got dropped off at the time, like at Walmart, like once a month, I think it was. You got like a 4-hour outing.
Right.
And this was over in Prince George area, so you could go, I guess it's South Park Mall.
Yep.
Yeah. And you could go to the mall and get clothes that you need for your job. You can stop at the Walmart, get everything you need, all your hygiene. There's certain things, I don't have a list offhand, but there's things you couldn't bring in there. Like, you couldn't buy your own razor. You still had to get the one-bladed thing from the guard, take it back, shave, take it back to them. They got to check it, make sure. I don't think it was one-bladed. Maybe it was 2 or 3, but they had to take the pen and make sure that they were still snug. I guess make sure you didn't do anything with them. Like, I guess all the blades were there,
Oh,
but
gotcha.
they're checking to make sure the blades weren't tampered with or whatever. Because I mean, you
Right.
can make weapons out of a lot of things, but when you're on work release, you're not really trying to mess that up. So,
No.
I,
How is the mental transition for you going from like work release back to because like well because like the work release pods wasn't as like secluded, right? That was more
So
like
when I got over on the workforce building, and the workforce, the main part was in the main building, is what
okay,
does all the meals and all those things.
okay,
I was fortunate enough that when I put in for it, I didn't even have to go to that pod. I immediately got selected to go to one pod that's held in the outside building that they
uh-huh,
had that has work release as well, but it has and I think it also has a pod for like if you're coming out of feds or DOC
okay,
and you've done like 10, 15, 20 years and
yeah,
you're getting to the end of your time and you're getting slowly back in. They bring you over maybe to do work release or to get you in that pod for a couple months, and then you maybe go to a halfway house or something,
got it.
like a transitional piece. But they had one pod for the workforce, so I got to cut the grass, like the zero turns. I I learned how to drive a zero turn and everything in jail,
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
I could do it very well too.
Yeah, the
And
but how is it, like the sleeping quarters in there? Was it just you
that
in
was
there?
open dorm on that in that building.
How
Every
many
pod was open dorm.
how
So
many people were in there?
40 maybe.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the inside, it's like 98 people per max pod. Usually, you don't max it out because there's people that will say they're homicidal, so they don't get a cellmate.
Right.
But then in turn, you don't get to do work release, like you're just
Right.
forever in jail, like in the actual jail part.
Okay.
But it was open dorm. TV would stay on all night, and you could you have a radio that you could buy
Uh-huh.
through canteen. It's just see through cheap. Something you could buy at the Dollar Tree, like literally for $1.25. Like
Yeah.
it was not, and you probably I think I had to pay $30 for it, and it's $15 for the earbuds. Like it wasn't anything crazy, but it's supply and demand. You
Yep.
paid for it because that was the only option, and which I still used even when I was on work release. Very little because I usually came back. I worked 7 days in a row, and on I can't remember what day it was, but there was one day probably in the middle of the week. There was one day a week that I did a half day. So I would get picked up by the jail at like I worked overnights at the time. So I started work at 7 p.m. and finished when we got done. It was that I was a selector at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So um, my my longest shift actually ended up being when I got out. They just happened to not have them longer than like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. But I mean it would be 13, 14 hour shifts sometimes.
Right.
But my longest shift was 22. And that was yeah, that was long.
Yikes.
It was me and two other people, and we were the best one in the section we were
Mm-hmm.
in. Uh, I just turned to competition. I've always done that in life. I'm very competitive,
Yeah.
and I was going to be the top selector while I was locked up, and I was.
Were you working with the same
No, just regular, like just
normal people?
yeah, just normal people.
Normal people.
Not people like Win. You know what I'm saying?
Normal people. No, so
Yeah,
so
no.
it's like the people that
They all knew, like people we worked with. They knew we got out of like the
jails.
the jail bus or whatever.
Oh yeah. But did you work with people that you were
Or
living
the
with
jail
too?
van. I worked with people on work release. We worked there too. Like it was something that the place I was working at was doing.
Uh-huh.
They probably got like tax write off and everything
Yeah,
for
of
helping.
course they did.
I'm sure they did.
Of course they
But
did.
they had to pay me the same. It's not like I got paid less. I got paid
Yeah.
like just what anybody else did.
Okay.
And but people that worked with us, like they knew that we came from the jail.
Yeah.
And and I there was some girls that worked with us too on work release, and and it was people that got in trouble. I mean, there was one person got kicked out because they left. They got picked up and got taken somewhere, and jail found out, and they got kicked back into the main building of jail and can't do work release anymore. Just stupid stuff. And one girl like had her boyfriend come, and they did like a picnic in the parking lot of the job, and were like making out and stuff like that, and then they got kicked out. It was just like the stupidest things, and I just didn't really want to risk it too much. I mean, I say that, and my oldest was conceived while I was on work release, so I mean, I was wiser about
Yeah.
where I deviated, because at the time I was able to like ASAP. I never had to have the thing in my car because I got my license suspended for the whole year I was in there. I got out.
What's ASAP?
It's a program you have to do if you get a DUI.
Oh, okay.
Probably drug related as well. I'm not exactly sure if that's the
Hmm.
same. Um, but that's the thing. Like you get the breathalyzer in your car.
Oh,
You got to
right.
go to like
Okay.
certain counseling sessions. You have to go to a certain amount of AA meetings and get them signed off and stuff. I was able to do that thing while I was out on work. While I was out on bond, even before I got sentenced, I actually had my like 13 or 15 week course done, and I had to go to this thing once a week for several, like a couple hours, and then I had to go to at least two AA meetings a week. But the way the lady did it is they didn't make me get them signed, but it was an ethical thing.
Oh, okay.
And I'm actually somebody that would uphold that.
Yeah.
And I just was determined. But she said you could finish however many that two times, however it was either 13 or 15 weeks, or however many AA meetings I would have had to go to. Um,
Like, I'm going 5 days a
you
week.
know, I did. I was going, and one time I went to like three in a day. Like I would just, and you could hit them up where you would find them around. Like they're literally AA meetings, or like you can find AA meetings just like you can churches around here.
Yeah.
Like they meet everywhere. Libraries, mostly churches, but so many different places you can find an AA meeting. And I was able, like, you go on the AA website and it's just like it's unreal when you realize, like, when you need that, especially.
It's quite
And it's like
ironic.
they've got them at 11 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
downtown Richmond, like groups. They got people starting at like 5 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning, and all in between.
It's
And
quite anonymous if you can find it on a website.
I know, right? But there are some of them, like there was few that I went to that it was a disclaimer is obviously they maybe if they figured it out they'd ask you to leave, but
Hmm.
so most of them are open, meaning like my first one I went to, my parents took me and they sat in there with me,
Oh, okay.
and I white tripped and they were there, and it was that was my first experience, but that was an open one where you weren't sharing if you weren't an alcoholic. Now you can go to it's called Al-Anon,
Yeah.
which is so
I know
you
that
there
one.
are I hadn't ever been to an actual I've been to ones where they have them like cross hallways from each other,
Ah.
but there are some that have them like the same, like
Uh-huh.
alcohol, like you're in the same room sharing and everything. I personally have never been to one like that. Nothing wrong with it. I
Yeah.
honestly probably hit one up one day,
I think
just
I
to
want to
hear
go. I want to go into an Al-Anon.
yeah,
Yeah,
just to hear
that'd
the
be. Yeah.
experiences. And
Yeah, because
but
that Al-Anon stands for alcoholic.
it's basically like people that have been affected by, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's the alcoholic too. Like maybe their parents were alcoholics, or
Yeah.
their
I
father was an
forgot what it's
alcoholic, or
right.
something, and they're an alcoholic too. But they
Hmm.
have hurts from an alcoholic as well. So
Right.
some people will swap back and forth. I personally haven't been hurt by any other alcoholic other than myself.
Hmm.
Um,
Man in the mirror. He
right?
hurt you.
Yeah, and so, but there's that kind of thing, and it's just really nice. So I was just like, I'm gonna go through and get them all knocked out,
Hmm.
and I did. I mean, I knocked out my number in like a month or something. Like it was absurd. But I went to so many, I started feeling accepted. I was hearing my story in different ways. I
Yeah.
was realizing I wasn't alone in my struggle, and
And this was all way before you even did your time.
yeah, this is
So it
this is
didn't
during
really.
that 7 months that I was on
Why
bond.
during trial?
Like I had my
Oh,
DUI in
trial, but
March,
yeah.
and I got sentenced in October
Oh,
of
right. Okay.
16. So during that interim, like I
Hmm.
was able uh to complete one of the ASAP things. It was
Hmm.
one of the requirements. Um and then the other requirement was I had to do like a 4 week class or something once a week for the actual like county of Chesterfield. And I was able to complete that on work release. My ex at the time was able to come in, well, now, not at the time, she was my wife
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the time, but she was able to like come pick me up, take me there, drop me off, and then afterwards, like she would just go and do something around town just for the hour that I was there or whatever, and then from there she was able to take me and drop me straight off at work. Things changed in that aspect pretty quickly. I'll get to that in a second. Based on work release and what we were allowed to do,
Oh, yeah.
changed towards the end there. Fortunately for me, it was towards the end. But she was able to do that. But yeah, I was able to get that done while I was in there. So the only thing that I was doing was I just did the whole year because I was already doing a year. I ended up, because I was on workforce for 6 weeks, I ended up getting 4 days of good time. So I got out a little early, and I had to wait 4 or 5 days when I got out. And like the day that I was able to like get my license reinstated, take the test, which I had to do all this stuff all over again,
Hmm.
almost like you're getting a learner's all over again. I had to do the eye test, the whole spiel. I even had to do a test drive. Had to do all that,
Dang.
all because I mean I had my license revoked and suspended for an entire year. So
Oh, okay.
it was like you're starting. I still had that negative whatever. It was horrible. Well, I guess it was just -6 or something. I don't know. I'm at a +5 now, so I've had no infractions
Right.
since my DUI,
Yeah.
like which is insane to me. I've had one warning since then. So I've definitely my driving's different now. I don't necessarily speed all the time, and usually if I do, I'm wise of when I do it.
Right.
I don't just speed as just in general. Um, but
Something changed, you said at the end. What happened?
so with work release, uh, there were a lot of people just like not doing what they needed to do, and I was one of them. Like once a month or once every 3 weeks or whatever it was. Actually, I think it was like every 2 weeks. Like it really wasn't that long. We were allowed to get a 4 or 5 hour outing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and the first one was dropped off. I saw my wife and all that stuff, and then like I started hearing about people that would just go back to their house of residence, and we didn't have ankle monitors or anything on.
Right.
And I'm like, you got like, sure. And they go back home for obvious reasons why they wanted to be at a house.
Yeah.
And so me and my wife did the same thing, and I was hesitant. I was nervous. She was not.
Which is so wild.
Yeah. Well, it had been, there had been some time,
Yeah.
and but it's just ironic, like just how things play out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's how my oldest like started. Now I got out before even before like I got out probably a couple weeks before I was at the appointment when we found out the gender, which I knew it was a girl. Like I knew the whole time I was gonna have a little girl, and and I was there for everything else. I was just the first like maybe 3 or 4 months or so. I mean, because I got out in October and she wasn't born until April 2nd the next year. So
Yeah.
I was there for the significant amount of it. Um, but but they got harder on things at the end. Like my last 2 weeks, they started anchor monitors. So then
Mm.
I wouldn't have been able to do any of that stuff. Um, which is I'm thankful that that didn't change because I never did anything bad. I mean, if anything, I just slept with my wife.
Right.
Like I didn't,
Yeah.
I wasn't drinking. I never did like some people would get out and get high and then come back and get tested and then get thrown back in the regular jail.
Which is so
like
stupid.
just dumb things. So I definitely did not do any of those things.
Mhm.
And always paid what I needed to pay. And some people would even have jobs and then blow the money on other things like on outings or food or maybe they'd have stuff DoorDashed or brought to their work. I don't even know if DoorDash was a big thing back in 2016, but
I don't know.
I don't think so. But but they'd have people bring them stuff and they'd buy stuff. And some people had jobs at like actual restaurants, so they would spend all their money, while they're there or whatever. And then you got to be able to pay. At the time it was like $119 a week, and that was with like the rental to like stay within the program as well as I had to get a ride. Because this wasn't anywhere near where any family. I think it's at least a 35-40 minute drive from closest people to me. So, and when I was in the main jail, I had people see me every single time, like would come, and I don't think I think maybe one visit somebody something went wrong with it, because not only the way that it worked at the time, which could have used some improvement. So I'm hoping it's not the same. I went back and saw a couple guys after the fact, but it's been several years since I've visited or stepped into a jail. Not that I'm necessarily scared to. I just don't have anybody that I know that's in there.
Yeah.
But I'd have to put like 5 people that could see me. You could have up to 5 people that could see you on any 45-minute visit, just
gotcha.
twice a week. And I'd have to have, and you remember a little bit, like when you'd come, you'd
Yep.
go on like the app or the website and put in
Yep.
your stuff. But if I didn't have you on the list as somebody that I was willing to see for that visit,
Yeah.
you couldn't go in. So that stopped people from coming to see an inmate that didn't want to see them. Maybe
Right.
it's a family member that they don't want to talk to.
Yeah.
And that's sad too, because a lot of the times it's like spouses and stuff. It's like girlfriends, boyfriend. It's like people that they're just genuinely upset, or they're trying to like just either they're upset with them, like in a ticked off way, like I don't want to see you. But a lot of the ways it's just I saw it reversed, not as many times as the other way, but I'd see people would just shun people out, just maybe they got a 5 or 6 year sentence, and they're just like, hey, we've only been together a year, just like
Go do your
go
own
do your
thing.
thing,
Yeah.
don't worry about me, and that was a way to release themselves to not, uh, that wasn't my experience. Like I had the assurance that my wife would be on the other end of it, and that she would stay true to me, and all those things came true.
Yeah.
But and I remember I even had a dream that I remember telling my wife at the time that we were going to have a little girl, and that like I saw it. And it's funny because like the girl I saw is very similar to the 7-year-old girl I got now. Like,
Yeah.
just the way I looked at her and everything. But and I said we were going to get pregnant fast and all that stuff, and it's the
Bing.
first try ever.
Bye.
Happened to be on work release, but that was we'd
Yeah.
never tried before that. Because I mean, granted, this all transpired like 8-9 months after we'd got married. So we hadn't been married a year before the DUI happened. It's also a month before my sister got married, right under me, and that was fun. Like just hearing the wrath of that, because I mean it was because it was like my wrong was taking away someone, like people coming into town and
Yeah.
doing things, and it's like, why do you have to do this right beforehand and everything? And it's like
And what's crazy is all of that didn't stop you drinking afterwards.
I did not. I didn't even make it a week. It was just when I could convince my wife at the time that I could drink again.
Yeah.
And I remember the day that she was supposed to go back to work. Not me. I had taken like 2 weeks off. Because again, I worked like every day for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And which I'm blessed by, because I was able to come out and buy the car that I bought at the time and pay it off right then. Didn't have a payment. Like that's what outside of just paying for what I needed to do and paying the bills to stay there and keeping my cell phone afloat, and my wife
Yep.
never had to like make up for me not being there in terms of on that side of things. I think I even helped with half the rent and everything. Like I definitely didn't just leave her, fending for herself by any means. And our rent at the time, I was staying with family, so I mean we definitely wasn't even much anyways. But I paid all my bills, my car insurance portions, my all those things, so she didn't have to take
Worry.
on those
Yeah.
take on those type of burdens. And but I just remember getting out. I'm trying to remember where we got to where we're at, but
Basically got out.
Oh yeah,
And then got
took me
back to
less than a
drinking.
week. Yeah, it took me less than a week.
Got back to drinking.
And it was the day she was supposed to go out. I'd taken a couple weeks off.
Yeah.
And I get a bottle of liquor. I go up to the ABC store because again, I had served all my time. Like it wasn't even like I had like sometimes if you get in trouble again,
Yeah.
maybe you have to serve the remaining of like maybe you had 2 months taken off of a DUI or something.
Yep.
Like I served the max on both of them. There was nothing. Like I had nothing over my head outside of just the record, and I knew. And the funny thing is, I knew at the time that if I got another DUI, it was going to be real bad. And it's not always the worst. It's bad if you get one, but not as bad as it is my way. I almost killed a family.
Yeah.
Like, and I still, for the life of me, just out of the 4 of us within those 2 cars, how nobody died and there was no major injury. I still don't quite understand. I understand my aspect of it a lot more than theirs, because I was drunk and clearly didn't even understand what I was doing and what I had really just caused.
Yeah.
Like I was very relaxed with I've totaled a few cars drinking. Just this was the first time that it involved anybody else, and but they were not relaxed. I'm sure that mom was everything but relaxed.
Oh yeah.
And,
She's probably pissed off and everything else too.
I'm sure, and just
Yeah.
the fear. I mean, I saw pictures of the scene after the fact. I mean, it had kid toys sitting outside the broken windows. And it's
Jeez.
like, I was not going to do anything at that trial. Because my whole argument is that I just didn't know. Like I didn't know.
Of course you didn't.
That was
know.
my argument.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course
And,
you didn't know. You were so drunk.
It was a really stupid argument, but
Yeah.
but that's how my alcoholic brain worked.
Yep.
Any way that I could, like, after this year, like I'm gonna be able to just drink as a responsible adult. That's my lesson. Like I'll be able to be just like everybody else now. And it first time, like I went out and got a bottle and drank most of that. Convinced my wife at the time, because she woke up. I think I threw up in the bed, on the side of the bed, like it was just a bad thing. Because I hadn't drank in a year.
Yeah.
And I went right, my alcoholism is a progressive disease.
Yeah.
And it does not stop just because, like, if I haven't drank in 3 years, but if I drank now, my body would basically be making up today with what I have not partaken in 3 years. Like, based on my drinking level. I wouldn't just start by just wanting a couple beers. As soon as I tasted it, I would just go right off to the races.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So, but my body could not handle that, even though mentally that's where my mind went, and that's where the cravings went.
It's like old people playing basketball.
Yeah, sure, sure.
So their mind thinks they're still young, but then their body can't handle the hard.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. In that context, yes.
Okay.
But with,
You were like,
I
what
was
kind
like, what? Sure, it's your podcast. Sure.
I'm gonna agree with you. No, you don't agree with me. You don't make. If it doesn't make sense, let me describe it to you better. Yeah, like old people. Like I can't go do the things that I like. I can't mountain bike anymore. Well, because I have an injury, but that's another
Yeah.
story. But
Yeah, you were into that for some time.
yeah, I'd
Remember
do
that.
10 miles easily
Oh yeah.
of just up and down hills and all that. But it's just like, nah, I can't do it anymore. Well, that's because of the injury. But even still, it's like if I want to try something new, I'd have to start slow because my body is a lot older than it was when I was in my younger teens.
Okay.
Well, younger 20s rather.
I know. It's like we're not old, but
Yeah.
we don't feel as young as we did when we were 20.
Yeah.
So it's just,
recovery
you
is
know,
definitely there.
And right now, like, kind of jumping around is what I do. But I got off of my antidepressant several years ago. I was even on blood pressure medicine, which one could argue if I went on if I should have went off of it or not. But I had side effects from that too. I just had really bad back spasms and lower back pain. And it was a lot worse before because I was on Adderall too, so I was on three prescriptions, and I got off two of them, and I tried to get off Adderall, and I was finding that I was struggling to pay attention again, and my job, what I do, I'm a regional planner, work for a trucking company, and it's like I've got to be able to pay attention to what I'm doing, and I've got to be alert. It's a very fast paced, multitasking type of thing, and so I tried it for like about a week and I went back on it, and this was probably 9-10 months ago, something like that. And interesting enough, last Wednesday was the last day I took Adderall, so I'm starting the process again. That's the last thing I've been on, and that gives me some like upper shoulder tension. I'd get headaches a lot, especially like stress headaches back here.
When you were on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially coming off, like I was popping Tylenol, like probably 8 to 10 of them a day. For
God.
years, because I mean that's one of the side effects. I was just often like trying to, because it did help me stay focused and it did help me get things done faster than normally I would, and stay on task and all that stuff. Stay on task so much I didn't want. Rather you just not talk to me if I'm busy. Just let me just keep doing what I'm doing.
Right.
Like, I'm so zoned in right now, and but I was very hyper focused when I was on the antidepressant and Adderall, which is interesting. When I look it up, there's not as many people that had that come up, but it did for me, and it made it to where like my back was even much more tense. Like everything was just double, triple what it should have been because of these other medications that had the same similar side effects as a rare thing.
Oh, right.
And I'm one of these people in life that if it's going to be something, it's going to be me.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't pass me over.
So you had all three
Yes.
attacking you all at once.
So I
'cause
quit two.
all three of the side effects.
And I found out that I was starting to come off as like an asshole. Like I would just not care genuinely about how people were feeling, or like could have my wife now just crying in front of me and just look at her and feel nothing.
Yeah.
Like not even I want you to if I wanted to stop, it was more of like I was just irritated that you're crying, and I was starting to realize like I don't, because I was doing so much like with early sobriety.
Yeah.
Made it through I was probably sober about a year and a half, 2 years. I guess probably around the 2-year mark. And I was just like, okay, I'm doing all this work. I've worked the steps. And steps is something you can work over each day, sure.
Yeah.
But I'd done a lot of big grunt work, and I'm like, I'm feeling like I'm not where I should be.
Right.
And come to find out, a lot of people, medicine is usually one of the last things you get to on your own, because you're not thinking that something that you're taking that's supposed to be helping you could also be negatively impacting your life in more ways than what it's helping you. Even.
Okay.
And that was my case. And so I got off of that, and that was, man, and I tried to taper down a little bit, but even the way that my doctor had me tapering her down, I was going to hit the wall anyways. Like, it's just a dramatic thing, being on something for 8 years and then just not on it.
And this was which one?
The antidepressant
Oh,
meds,
okay.
bro. So when I got off of that, I definitely just cried all the time. I just be down this. I mean, anything. A commercial would come on. It was almost like you hear of like people that they find out they know they're pregnant because the women are all like
Yeah.
emotional about something that
Yeah.
they're watching something. I'm like, no, that's straight up my story in that. Like, it was just like it had turned off this part of me that cared enough that, but it guarded me in a way. And but the reason I was getting off of it is because I was realizing I was just so short with people at work. I wouldn't look at people, and it's something I could still struggle with even off of it. But it was just a way that like I was all the time. Like I'm too busy to give you my time because I need to focus on these two screens.
Yeah.
And
So it was like
I thought it was
so,
and I thought it was the Adderall, and that's why I quit the Adderall.
Uh-huh.
But when I got off Lexapro, and I found a week later that I needed to go back on Adderall. Now that I've been on that only by itself for the last like 9 months to a year before I just got off of it last week, I did notice that that was not the thing that was keeping me from. I would get focused, sure,
Yeah.
but now it's like people walk up to my desk. I take my like I like to wear my over the head like Bose headset that I got going on and cancel out, listen to music, zone in.
Yep.
If somebody walks in. I give them more of a time of day. I don't just like not acknowledge they're even there.
Mm-hmm.
Like just stuff about me that was just not normal. Like I was definitely sticking out like a porcupine within a building, and all of a sudden like people walked up and they were just like, "Yo, what's different with you?" And I'm like, "I got off of this thing," and they were like, "That's what was doing this." And I was like, "It's probably part of me too," but I got to a point I couldn't even push back within my own self because I was hitting walls. And when I got that out of my life, and this is my own experience, I'm not advocating that nobody should be on medication or anything. And this is just my experience. I do think a lot of these medications should be used more in short term, not as much. I mean, especially on like antidepressants. There's a lot of studies that show that long term use is damaging in a lot of ways. I mean, it took away a lot of joys. Like, I mean, even my own drive on a sexual front, like, very much got diminished a lot. Just with it, it's just crazy how medication can just it does. Maybe I had less anxiety and I had no fear. Yeah, but yeah, it just turned me into turd.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was an antidepressant, but it was also an anti everything else too.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
you.
it's for anxiety too and everything. But
it was like an anti emotion.
Yeah,
altogether, like it just.
I think it turns into that if you're on it long term.
Yeah, narrowed the bandwidth of your life enjoyment, I guess. Life.
I'm following that
feeling. Yeah. You don't feel it in as bigger waves because you don't want to go down here, but it also doesn't allow you to go up here. So your life waves of feelings are just like this instead of. So you don't have as low of lows, but you also don't have as high of highs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes you an asshole when you need to be as high the high of highs when you're talking to someone
new. And we
new.
get to the point that I would still, if I needed to like have like a crazy reaction randomly, that would happen. But it would take a lot to get me to like snap or something. But usually I just didn't care, and I was starting to realize, like, once I started realizing like how much I didn't feel towards things, and like I'm like, okay, that's
weird.
A lot of empathy that I'm not having, and so I didn't notice this until a couple years sober. Like all of a sudden I was starting to like doing more work on myself, and I'm like, okay, why is this not happening? So I made those changes, and I've been fairly great since. I mean, it took a couple months to settle. And then you have to learn to process the emotions. It's almost like getting sober again. It's weird because it's just like when I got sober, I would cry and stuff initially, but it's like my body like didn't have that numbing effect for a while. But then I still had a numbing effect going on at the same time. So then I went through it all over again and started feeling and just crying just out of nowhere, almost like I was on menopause or something, like just out of the blue, just like it's just like. And then the next thing, like in my youngest Henley, she can do this thing like right now. She can be in the dead of a hearty tummy laugh, and then just cry crocodile tears within 2 seconds of a switch, and then vice versa. And that's kind of how it was for me. I mean, she's learning how to regulate her emotions at a young age, but that's how it was for me when I was getting off that stuff. And I'm at the point now, like I was getting more attention. It wasn't as bad as it was when I was on all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, I don't think it's not my posture. I can't sit up any more straight in my work chair. I've
Right.
always got my rear against the back of the chair. I'm just like, I can't do any more than what I'm doing. I'm just too focused too long and not moving. So I'm locking it up, and that's what Adderall does. It just gets you so hyper focused.
Mm.
So I'm just like, which I've loved some of it because there's a lot of journeys I've went on while taking it that I've had more deep thoughts into things on longer stints probably than I would have had
Mm-hmm.
not on it. But I'm trying to be more my authentic self, trying to also continue to grow, and I'm at a place that I'm trying to work through all my stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, Adderall has some side effects. It can make you agitated when you're coming off. I get the end of the day headaches, and sometimes it's crippling enough that like I'm putting my it's almost like a migraine really,
Yeah.
and I'm like popping blankets over my head for a few hours, and you know uh even like I smoke weed occasionally,
Yeah.
and like it's one of those things that even that like I'm too in pain to even take anything, to even do anything.
Yeah.
So that's how like
I've had some
Wynn's in a
migraines.
lot of pain when he's not eating. Like
Yeah.
I don't care if somebody suggested something. I'm like I just don't have. It's too
Yep.
much.
Yep. I've had some migraines and it's crippling
Yeah.
for sure. The only migraines I've ever had though were migraines with the aura. So it like just this portion of my vision would be blurry. Like up here is clear and down here is clear, but like this area is blurry and it has like a ring around it of crazy colors. And
Okay.
it's a trippy experience because like you're looking at something, but like this area is blurry, but like up here is clear and down here is clear. So it's like you'd have to like look like this, and it comes on you like that. So I had like I was driving in the city one day, and it came on me, and I was like, oh no, because it starts off really small.
Mm-hmm.
So just like a portion of it, like just like this area here starts getting like blurry, and then it's like, and if it starts getting blurry, you're like, I'm either having a stroke, which most likely not.
Right.
So then I was like, oh, I know in the matter of 15 minutes this is going to be covering my entire vision. So I need to either find a place to pull over and just deal with it and figure it out,
Yeah.
or get my ass home because. So I was like, I know I can make it home. So over the course of my time getting home, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I was just like, my goodness. But that's the only, and it was like I had like a slight pressure of like slight pain, but most of it was just like just can't see. And
Okay.
it's a crazy experience. Look it up.
I
Look
can
it up.
see that. Like it hurts to see. I definitely have felt that.
For me, didn't even hurt to see. Like I was just hanging out, but like everything was just blurry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is just it gets usually is in the back of my head.
Uh-huh.
And I just get these tension headaches, and I had one. Actually, this is what prompted me to try to stop Adderall all over again, because I was just like, maybe this is part of the reason that I'm getting these like stress headaches or whatever, because I'm overthinking things more because I'm locked in and hyper focused too much.
Oh right, yeah.
So that I'm almost stressing me out anyways, more than it should. And um it was just I think it was last week. It was 2 nights in a row. One night it was the whole day that I felt bad, and it was to the point of like tears. Like it made me cry. Like, it was hurt.
Yeah.
Very bad. And the next day, like I got through it. I could still feel. It's almost like I could feel these knots. Like they were still there if I touched them. Like all these pressure points in the back of my head that was still tender and hurt. Like it was a stress type of headache. And I remember the next day I made it through almost the whole day. And of course, in the evening I get home. I did my adulting for the day, and I'm at home when it's time to relax and spend time with the family. And my head's aching, and I'm up there like going to bed at 9 o'clock at night, sitting up in the bed 3 hours just looking at the dark. And that's when my wife knows. She's just like, oh my word, I know you're in pain when you're just like going to sleep
nothing.
early. You're like doing all these things.
Yeah.
You're not eating. Like, she just knows my routine on things.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's just genuinely, it's just so uncomfortable. And I'm just like, screw it. So like last Thursday I did work. Now I have a co-partner that we do the job together Thursdays and Fridays usually, unless somebody's out on vacation. He'll cover for them, and then I just do my whole region Monday through Friday. But I mean, I'm the quarterback of my region.
Yeah.
He's more like the assistant. Like he helps me, and then he's more of the weekend dispatch thing. So he helps plan 2 days a week, and then helps with dispatch the other two.
Okay.
But I just remember just feeling uh, very foggy and everything, which is what I'm still feeling today. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pushing back on a lot of things because it's just like my head feels like it's in a fog. I feel fatigued. I've been working out, but like I don't usually feel sore the next day anymore.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, maybe a little bit if I push myself a little bit more on a workout or whatever. But it's at the point now like I hadn't worked out since Thursday, and I woke up today and I felt like I had worked out every day for the last 2 weeks in a row. Like it just
Dang.
felt like my arms were fatigued, and so I skipped my workout this weekend, and I'll get back into it once I get a little bit past some of these early arm withdrawals. Usually not withdrawals, but just I mean I guess in a little bit it's not withdrawals in a way if you were abusing the medication.
Yeah.
So I'm on a lower thing. I had started low, went up to 30, and I've been on 20s for quite a while now. Like I'm definitely not getting high off the stuff. Um,
You're just not used. Your body's just not used to operating.
My body's used to using dopamine in a certain way,
Right.
And now it's like, what the crap? So then it leaves my brain almost feeling like you wake up from a really long nap, and you're just like, that's just what it feels like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's should subside over the next couple weeks, which is fortunate because after this week, then I'm off for the week of the 4th of July. So I'm hoping by the time I go back to work after that, I'll be more, because usually when people get about 3 to 4 weeks in, you maybe not be all the way like there, but you got more clarity.
Okay.
Your thoughts are easier to like jumble. I feel like I'm staying on topic pretty well.
Yeah,
but
it's all good.
But jumping on, and that's part of just having ADHD, which I just think that's a misconception too. A lot of people just categorize that like either it's definitely over. Like people get that diagnosis way more than it probably is true.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
I absolutely do have it, but I just believe that it's just how I'm made, and there's other people like me, and we just don't fit in the box that society wants us to fit us in. That's all it is.
Yep.
And it's just learning to try to be myself within that society, because the structure is the structure, and just learning how to play the game a little bit differently. So I'm trying it out, and I'm trying it longer, because last time when I made it like a week, it was that just I can't keep my thoughts together. Now I'm like, okay, it will get better when I get to a month. So I'm just gonna power through and make myself stay as focused as I can. Take the Apple Watch off, have no distractions whatsoever. I sticky note everything anyways. Like just stay focused on the job. I'll probably be okay, which I'm sure I will be. But it's the temptation is going to be just take the pill.
Yeah, just
take
take
the
it.
pill.
Yeah.
It's more like because I've learned to rely on it,
Yeah.
which I've had plenty of jobs and worked without it, and I only have got on it really just to doing part of divorce separation and all this stuff. Like I had to get parental evaluation done and everything. That was part of the thing that like it showed me, that I do have ADHD, which I already knew I had. But
Yeah.
you had to have a diet. You had to be evaluated to like get prescribed. Because during COVID, because I did this right after COVID, but
Yeah.
during COVID they were just giving it away online like it was candy, and then that's where the Adderall shortage and all that stuff.
Oh, right.
People like me
Yeah.
that genuinely needed it, and that it actually benefited. We weren't like abusing it or whatever. We were the ones like sitting there. Are we gonna be able to get our medicine the next month? 'Cause,
Right.
It's a controlled substance, so you can only do 30 days at a time. You can't just, up it for 3 or 4 months and just get like a,
Microdose of meth.
yeah. I mean, that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, in ways, and I just got to the point. I want to be more myself in all areas, and I want to have a sharp mind. And I know that's a little counterproductive when I'm talking about Adderall, but I felt like on what it did to me with the stress on my shoulders, my headaches all the time, my irritability.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the negative side effects were coming over into relationships. It's coming over into how I perceive people around me.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it might help me stay focused at work, but it just felt like I wasn't being me when I'm not, like if I wasn't on it altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm just, but I'm not about taking the easy road in life. So I'm trying, like most people be like, why don't stop it, just keep doing it. And I'm like, no, I mean, if there's something that even if it's a bad idea, I'm still like, if I can learn from it, if there's something like be innovative from the thinking, like I want to try it out. And, and we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, but I'm pretty sure I'll settle out and just get used to it. But that way, that saves money too. I mean, I've got to go to a doctor's appointment every 3 months. I've got to, they got to piss test you and all this stuff, and it's just
Mm,
like, I mean, it treats you. It makes me feel like I'm back in jail
right.
because I had to get
Yeah.
I had to get piss tests and everything while I was in there too, and especially out in work release. And you'd be surprised how many I guess it's not that surprising, but it is when you're in there and you get to know these people, and you're just like you just get kicked out just because you can't wait until you're home.
Right. Yeah.
Like you got 2 months left or you got 4 months left. And some of these guys, it's like they went straight to work release. They didn't even have to go to the main jail.
Huh.
And then they mess up and then have to go there and serve the remainder of their time. And it's like,
Yikes.
why? Like I've never been like that. Usually when I get in trouble, I'm able to straighten up and toe the line the way it needs to be and cross everything off and check everything off the way it needs to be. Like I'm not usually rebellious when I get caught on something. But then when I get comfortable is usually when I fall back into it. And that's one thing that alcohol, it just took 14 years for me to just finally be like, because I remember a lot of times people ask me too, like when they hear like, oh man, what was that last time? What happened? Because typically it's a big story when
Yes.
somebody it's something, the wife left them and, I've had all those things happen, but I've never my who I'm married to now, she was with me the last year of my drinking, and I remember thing with me is I couldn't stay out of the car.
Oh, okay.
Like I couldn't. I mean, they say when you get a DUI, the average person has at least driven over 1,000 miles drunk. I mean, 1,000 times drunk on different occasions before they get caught. That was very true for me. I mean, 17 to 31, take out a few little bit, times that I maybe couldn't drink or something. Because I did make it a year sober once I was in jail. Because I had to do the 7 months out, and then when I was locked up,
Right.
I made it over a year, and I got on workforce, not even work release, workforce, and there's this thing you can make like mash or you can make jailhouse alcohol, and somebody offered it to me, and I'm talking about the moment that they said, "Hey, do you want a sip?" That cup could not have gotten in my hand faster
Yeah.
into my mouth. Like there was no
Right.
not even a thought process. It was just like it's like what I've been waiting for, in a way. And the guy could tell that I really wanted it, and he was just like, "You can finish it." So then I finished it. I didn't get drunk, and I sat there the rest of the night pissed off that I couldn't get drunk. It's like I could taste it. I tasted the alcohol. It tasted delicious,
Yeah.
but it wasn't enough. It was never really enough, but it definitely wasn't enough to get me drunk, and that was always the goal. And the goal was to feel good all the time.
Yeah.
And
Which is a misconception of
that's
life.
why I don't really count that first year, because it's like I didn't really have a choice. Like, sure, I could have drank when I was out on bond, but I had to do colors and do a breathalyzer, go up to the courthouse, do
Yep.
a breathalyzer when it was called and stuff. I remember one time I was all the way in Williamsburg, and my wife at the time, was like, let's go, and we were gonna just go just for each other and everything, and I'm like, it's gonna be, and I had gotten switched because drugs, there's all kinds of different colors based on what drug charges you're in there. If it's for meth, it's all kinds. I don't know. I don't understand nor have I tried to look into the color system. But for alcohol, it was blue and red. Blue was like, I was getting called at least once a week, if not twice, and I did that for a few months. And then once you get to a point that they're seeing that you're not an issue, like they've hit you up enough. Because it's like you have to call in the morning at like 6 a.m. And if your color's called, you have until 8:30 to be at the courthouse and be tested. So there is no preparing for it the day before. And if you miss the call, and there was 1 or 2 times that I genuinely overslept. Like it happened once or twice. My color did not get called those days, nor did I drink. But oh my word, the anxiety of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go to jail, and it's just like just bond would have been revoked and everything.
Right.
They could have tested me as soon as I got there, but like he's got 0.0% alcohol
Yeah.
in him. Like he's not drunk, nor has he drank anytime soon. But it was just one of those things. But you start off blue, and then you move over to red, and that's when like you might get called like every 3 or 4 weeks or something. But of course, the one time that I go, and I've been on that for several months, and of course, the time I go out to Williamsburg is the time I get it called, which you call early enough that I was able to drive the hour back to Chesterfield to do the
Right.
test, then just turn around and go right back there. And I believe it was 7 days a week. I can't remember if they did Sundays or not. I think it was a 7-day a week program.
Mm,
They just didn't call Sundays or Saturdays as often, but
right.
they called them. And but yeah, but I just towed the line, did everything I was supposed to do. But as soon as that was offered to me, grabbed it, wanted more. How can I get more? And then when I get out, um, I was out about a week. Uh, man, I'm like, I'm ready. Like, I think I was out not even a week. It was probably just 2 or 3 days, and I was with my wife at the time, and we were in Williamsburg, and I was like convinced her to like let me get a beer or something, and
Yeah.
I did well with that, and I'm like, boom, I'm healed, I'm fixed, I got this, bro.
I got this.
Until I didn't,
Right.
and it just went on to the next thing, and it's just like and then she's. I'm throwing up in the bed on the side of the bed and everything, and I convinced her that I was sick, and she just was swearing that I was drunk, and then she did believe me until like months down the road. I told her like the truth or whatever, like way down, like not even right then. And I remember one time I was drunk, slur my words, and I somehow convinced her that I wasn't drinking. And it's not that she was an idiot or anything like that. It was she genuinely wanted to believe what I was saying,
Right. She wanted to
you
believe the
know.
best in you. Yeah.
And when I got the DUI, like I mean, she definitely lost a lot of trust. I mean, she was going through the place we were staying had like ceiling tiles and everything, and I would store alcohol bottles and everything, liquor up in the ceiling, so it wouldn't be found or whatever. And I mean, she went up in there and she found everything and poured it all out when I was, after I got arrested and everything. But she extended that branch to me again when I had gotten out, and I lasted a couple months. And I remember going to an AA meeting drunk at like 7 a.m. in the morning. I was working night shifts at the time, so it was my evening.
Oh
I'd
yeah.
probably been home since like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was feeling pretty good by 7 o'clock that morning, or 7:30 or something. I think it's 7:30 is when it started, and I was there.
This was after your time.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so my wife at the time was still pregnant, all that stuff with my oldest daughter, and we're you know because even when I was drunk, like I genuinely just didn't want to be like that anymore. Like I just was stuck in it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I don't know, I guess 26, 27 at that time, probably somewhere around there. And I just didn't like who I was becoming, but I couldn't quit. Like I just couldn't stay stopped. So I mean, I remember I probably got sober a month or two before my oldest was born, and was sober probably like 2, 3, 4 months after she was born. A lot of it is because my wife at the time, like that was a requirement. You need to stay off of it, and then I was able to talk her into that I was okay again, just to fail it again, to
Right.
talk her into it again, to fail it again, and just that, and it wasn't that I was trying to do that. Like I genuinely like thought I could fix it every time. Like I so believed that
Yeah.
I could win, that it wasn't going to, conquer me, and I just remember with my wife now, and we gotten she was with me that last year of my drinking, and I mean, I wouldn't say it was necessarily any worse than for a few years before that. But I was just drinking a lot daily, all the time. I was one of those drinkers that I didn't have to start in the morning. Everybody's different. I had some withdrawals physically, but not everybody gets tremors. I don't care if you drank for 40 years. There are people that drank for 40 years and never experienced that. A lot
Yep.
of people, they associate an alcoholic. You got to have all them tremors and
Right.
no. I
No.
mean, I had some I was agitated easily. I was on edge. I did have some slight like cold chills and things like that, but I
Mm-hmm.
never had any of like the things of like where people say they have heart attacks or whatever. But I mean, I just never, or you feel like you're going to or whatever.
Oh, jeez.
But I mean, they like some of those tremors and everything I've heard about are just horrible. But that doesn't mean that you just drink that much to get them. It just that's how your body reacts to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I judged my alcoholism off that from the beginning, because I was like, well, I don't have tremors and I don't get
Yeah.
this, and I'm
Yeah.
good. And it's like, no, all these other things you get because of it too, and you're overlooking that because this one thing you don't have is
Yeah.
like making you feel like you can do it all. Um, and I just looked at it wrong, and I just, I remember May 4th to 22 was the last day I drank. So I remember waking up on May 5th, May the fifth be with you. No, the fifth strikes back. That's what it is. May the fourth be with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so it coincided with those dates, which I happen to like Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I remember waking up, and a couple weeks before that, my wife, she was arguing with me. You're gonna have to lose another wife. Like there was things that went on, because I couldn't stay out of the car, and it was more of like she didn't feel like driving. It was like, well, then don't drive. It's like, well, you don't drive, and then she just had to take me, and we just had like another blowout fight with it, and she was pregnant with my our first, but my second,
Uh-huh.
and little girl, and I just remember waking up that day, and I just like looked over at the dresser. I looked over at the TV. Everything was off. She wasn't in there. It was just me. Nothing had happened that night, like for a couple weeks. No arguments, no nothing. But I just woke up, and it was just like that was the time that my battery ran dry. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was in the meetings. They say it's being sick and tired of being sick and tired. I mean,
Yep.
but that really is what it was. Like I was just for me, I had quit drinking many times, always for somebody else, always for one of my kid, my oldest, or
Mm-hmm.
a spouse. Like it was always a reason. Even before that, like it was always reasons. Like I would quit. It was never for me, because I never saw it that it was that it wasn't actually a huge problem. It
Mm-hmm.
was their they just thought it was. So let me just appease them or whatever. It was never going to be lasting. And but ever since I woke up that day, and I genuinely had that, like, I'm done. Like, I've definitely woke up before and like, God, if you get me through this day and get me through this hangover, I won't do it again. But it was a much different feeling. It was a
Yeah.
very sobering feeling of just like I saw the reality. I saw the writing on the walls with my second marriage. Like I could just see how things were going to play out, and I could see that alcohol was the main contributor for that direction that I was going, and I've never turned away from that. Like I've sure I've thought about it here and there in the beginning, and until it turned to a very distaste to it. Like
Yeah.
it's gotten to the point like I can be around it, not have no issues. Definitely don't want to be tasting any of it. And you've been out with me, like
Yeah.
we'll be at our, I remember we went to the comedy thing like
Yeah.
last
Absolutely.
year, and it's like, hey, I know I ordered sweet tea, but just taste my sweet tea real quick,
Yep.
because just the odds that there's a mistake, which the odds that happens got to be very rare, because you don't want to bring somebody alcohol that didn't order it, like what if
Right.
they're not old enough, like you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
for whatever reason, but
Or
it's like
even just getting pissed off customer of them getting a Long Island iced tea instead of a normal iced tea or something.
that too.
Yeah.
But I was just
Yeah.
like,
It was, and obviously I've been through with you through that whole time, and so at that point I was like, he's good. He's good. It's not ever gonna. That's never. He's never gonna. It'll never affect him ever again. It was at that point at the comedy show. I was like, damn. Okay, sweet. This is. He's over this hill, and this is good.
Yeah.
He's got the momentum in his back now. And I
yeah,
was like super proud of you. And so
yeah, it's just one of those. It was easy once I got to where it was, and I've read the book of AA, and it goes through different sections, and
uh-huh.
there's some people that it says, and I would argue that I'm between two sections. There's some people that stop before they really ever had a problem. They could be distinguished as like a problem drinker, so they're not necessarily full blown alcoholic,
Okay.
because there's a line that you cross, and once you cross this line, and there's no actually, it's hard to find out when you're going to cross the line,
Mm-hmm.
because you're playing with your fate when you just keep doing it. When you're having, when you're maybe turning to it because you're stressed out, so then you're binge drinking or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But the odds that it could turn over into something, I mean, you don't know when that line's crossed. But when you cross the line, you can't uncross the line. Like there's no, and I was told that, and I was like, no, I'm gonna uncross the line. Maybe I didn't cross the line all the way. I didn't even cross the line. What you mean? I didn't even cross
You
the line.
convinced yourself that you didn't
Yeah,
cross
I
the
didn't
line.
even cross the line. Line's not
Yeah.
crossed. There's no line.
Yeah.
So,
A line's an illusion.
I know.
It's just a point from two points.
And I genuinely wanted to believe that, and it just got to the point I saw that I was never going to be able to fix it, and it was a big issue of my problems. It wasn't all my problems. I've worked
Mhm.
through things since then, but if I wouldn't have gotten sober, I would have never gotten to where I am now and worked through
Yeah.
things to the depths that I have and
Mhm.
continue to. That kind of led me to skip back a little bit. That kind of led me last summer, probably June, probably about a year ago now, when I really started questioning God for the first time in my
Yep.
life.
I'm going to
And
pause you on that. I'm going to go to
okay,
the bathroom,
all right,
and then we will be right back.
all right. Where were we?
And we are back, baby. You said we ended at you started questioning God last year,
Yep.
or the concept of God, or something like
Yeah.
that. Whatever you want to, however you want to take over.
So yeah, it was probably about last May or June that I was starting to first question. I don't even know what happened. I remember my mother-in-law got me and my wife, tickets going to see Jordan Peterson
Uh huh.
maybe like a year and a half ago or so.
Is that here in Richmond?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Carpenter Theater, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember just, I mean, I don't remember anything specific about the talk. It was just a deep intellectual talk that
Yeah.
stimulates me. I like good conversation. So, and I understood most of words that he likes to speak vocabulary. Most don't.
Yeah.
So, and I'm familiar with most. There are times I'm like, yo, what did he just say? What did he just say? And then certain words you notice he says a lot more than others. So if you just get accustomed to that or whatever, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like learning his own language. But I just remember, like, just that was just one of the fallen effects of just like me questioning my own past and upbringing and how I ended up being where I am, or would I believe this if I wasn't raised by this family or this place, if I wasn't born in the United States, and just all these questions.
Yeah, I definitely had that growing up, like throughout my whole time in Christianity and belief system. It's like, would I have this belief system if I was in a different country? Because that's a big thing. It's like if I was in a different country, most likely not.
I would argue you're right.
Yeah.
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 If I was born in, let's say, Iran,
Yeah.
probably be Muslim.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's 100% right there.
Pretty close.
I
Yeah.
mean, so it was that concept, and just seeing problems with, I found, not to skip forward, I'll go through the process, but I mean, a lot of what I had been seeing was just human error and what people were doing with the church, and that it wasn't God, it was just people
Right.
being people, make mistakes just like I do daily still, like it's on how we judge them. And I started to do a thorough search. Like, I was starting to listen to some prominent, like, atheists that I'd never heard of or anything, because I never really looked into anything.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know of the like right now, a guy that I still listen to. I still like to, because I like him because he's genuinely like searching for truth. But his name's Alex O'Connor, and he's interviewed Jordan Peterson several times, and that's how I found him, because I watched a couple of Jordan Peterson things on his own channel, and then saw that he had like an interview with this guy, and then I segued over into listening to all of him and realizing that he is an active atheist, and then started hearing all those arguments, and then went down to the rabbit trail of all these other prominent atheists and everything, and what they believe and their arguments and everything, and they had some compelling arguments, and I had ones that had me convinced for a while, for a time, that everything was on accident, and just we're just here kind of thing, and and I remember the first day I was actually in my car. I think I was on the way to work, but it was last summer, probably towards the end of the summer, and I just remember like just having this realization, like, God's not like this. It is fake. Like, this is all made up. And I genuinely, that was the first time I genuinely like believed that. Like, it wasn't like a belief that I was picking. Like, but you don't choose what you believe. You believe it because you believe it.
That's it.
Like, and if you're believing something because you're making yourself believe it, well, you're not usually going to stay true to that because you don't really believe it. And I just had that realization, like, God's not real. And I just remember the feeling of like, so I remember I called you probably within a week of all that stuff going on, and it was this reality of like, I've been lied to. It's almost like, I know I quote this movie quite a lot. It's not the best movie, but Sausage Party. It just
Yeah.
has so many good concepts in it. It's not the best for young children,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
My kids don't watch it, but I mean, it's one of those movies that it goes over so many different thought processes and everything. If you really listen to what it's going over, it's talking about some deep issues. And they're making fun of a lot of the stuff. But I mean, when you really stop and just listen to it, it's like, oh my gosh. Like, that's probably part of the point of the movies. Have you think about stuff.
Yep.
But especially having Seth Rogen on there, like he's a very mind-driven individual, and I just remember feeling that like this is all just it is what it is. Like I saw it for what I saw it for, and that it was all just I had been taught wrong, and I wasn't seeing things right and all that stuff. But my perspective changed, and I just remember feeling the dread, the about like just this such a huge overwhelming feeling of helplessness, like just like wow,
Mm.
what is this? And it just I felt so empty, and that went away after about a week or two. Like the more I listened, the more I started to well, what's the point? I started to listen to atheists and what they do with their lives
Yeah.
and everything, and I'm like, all right, well, they're productive, they have families, like they
Mm-hmm.
do things, like what do they think? And I got to the point that I was very comfortable with knowing that, because to me, in the way that I was thinking about God and in the way that I was raised, uh, it made a lot of sense for me to just like everything rang true with what I was seeing on the atheism side of things, and that
Can you
uh,
break that down?
so part of the way I was raised is like I was raised old school Baptist, but I was raised kind of like you can't drink, you're gonna go to hell.
Yeah.
Like, and not maybe that everybody that goes to church like that believes that, but
Yeah.
it's the perception that I picked up
Okay.
growing up is that to me, God only liked me if I did what was right.
Yeah.
I had to. The only way I could get to heaven was by saying this prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I said the prayer, I was good. So I probably said the sinner's prayer thousands of times growing up because I just was so nervous that the other 999 times didn't work.
Right.
Like I want to make sure this works.
Okay.
And but that was the kind of way I looked at God, is like I had to fit certain things, and then I was taught like it's His grace and all these things, and it's not anything that we can do, and all those kind of things. I get that, but my perception of what God was just different than what I have come to now.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just I got relaxed with not believing in God for a while. Like there were several months that I had a peace about it, and I almost felt like I knew something that somebody else didn't, in a way, in an arrogant way. Just
Mm-hmm.
like my pride was very big. I was just like, man, all these idiots I got in my life right now. Like, what am I gonna do? And like that was my mind frame. But I was looking at everything on such a superficial level, and such just especially with atheism, like you're looking at it just on the physical, just on what we see, everything
Mm-hmm.
that we can observe. Like everything is physical, so it's like you take out a lot of aspects of a lot of things when you do that. And but I was comfortable with it. I was fine. I had I wasn't scared because I heard somebody say that, well, you weren't fearful of your life or having anxiety about your life before you were born, so it'll be the same when you're gone. Like you're not going to have any fears. And I mean, and that made sense.
Yeah.
And in essence, if that worked like that, that would be factual. Like that is how it is. I mean, if the light switch really did go off, that's how it would play out. You wouldn't be worried about it because you wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean that
And the only reason why we have anxiety about life is because we're self-aware. But in the beginning, before we weren't self-aware, and the afterwards, we most likely won't be self-aware in that perspective. Is that right?
yes,
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
yeah, like you're just gone. You're
Yep.
just conscious brain, whatever, just shuts off.
Yep.
You're just part. I mean, your body would decay and be part of the planet again and part of the universe.
Yeah.
But like you and a thinking and a being and what would be thought of as like a soul,
Mm-hmm.
like would just cease to exist.
Yep.
Like just it's gone. And but I was very comfortable once I got past that. Like the Band-Aid got ripped off
Uh-huh.
and the veil was revealed to me in a way. I was just like, man, this is like, wow. So then, how do I maneuver around all this? Like, how do I live life uh, with that concept not there? And I went down that path for a while, and I just kept searching, kept watching videos, started listening. I mean, and um, I didn't have favorites. Like I'd listen to Christian speakers, I'd
Hmm.
listen to Christian atheist debates, I'd listen to just atheists, I'd listen to Muslims, I'd listen to Buddhists, I wanted anything and everything. Like I was soaking up everything that all the great minds of the past and just what they thought of, and even back to Aristotle. Like just
Yeah.
where can I get some some wisdom and that knowledge that I was looking for. Like I just wanted to know all the answers. And part of me still does,
Yeah, of course.
but I know I've just accepted that in my I believe in my human existence is what I have right now.
Hmm.
It's not going to happen. I can
No.
learn more. I'm going to learn more in life. I'm going to have better understanding on things, but I'm never going to have all my answers answered.
Yeah.
Like that's just not how it's going to work, and it's not how it's worked for every other generation that's ever lived that
Ever.
we see.
Yeah. Yep.
Like that's just not how things play out. And but to me, I started to get I had enough people like if you would just read the Bible, because and I had looked around at a lot of things, and I was seeing that a lot of concepts, like with other cultures and everything, was just like kind of like and outside of, if you take Judaism,
Uh-huh.
Christianity, and Muslims
Yep.
out of the picture, all the other kind of ways of thinking and everything, it's Hinduism, Buddhism,
Yep.
things on that spectrum like that, all things could really lead to the same thing. And I started to just dig deeper, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna, now that I've looked at all these, I looked at all of them and like, what's the most, like, what makes the most sense to actually be the way to get there?
Hmm.
Which, and I had so many questions, because even if Christianity was the right answer, I'm like, well, what's the answer of, like, if you don't, so if somebody doesn't hear the name of Jesus, like they're just gonna like burn in hell forever? Like that's their choice gets taken, and they didn't even really get the choice. Like that was my concept of God at the time. Like that's how he worked. That if all the tribes of the world, like I think there's over two, it's 150 to 200 at least, down in the rainforest in Peru
Right.
and everything. It's mainly in Brazil is what I'm thinking of. I think a big chunk of the rainforest is within Brazil,
Yes.
and the majority of it, I believe.
Hmm.
And but between all the little connections of the 3 or 4 countries that it's all engulfed in, it there's like 150 to 200 like that have not, they're not touched, they're not manipulated by modern society. They don't have cell phones, electricity. Like they're still living in the old ways. Many of them don't even know of other. I mean, I don't know what they do if they ever hear an airplane or what they think that is,
It's so
but
wild.
they definitely do not understand
Yeah.
culture and what the world really is like outside of their little cocoon that they're living in.
Yeah. To
And
put yourself in those shoes, though, is kind of crazy.
in it,
It's like, what the hell?
like, what would
Like,
they think?
what is going on?
Like, if they just showed up in this room right now and saw this stuff, what would they think?
Dude.
They tripped out on acid or something. Like
I don't even, their brain might
they
explode.
ate that voodoo bush.
Yeah,
I
right.
ate the voodoo bush.
Or they'd be thinking that they ate something on the
That's what I'm
ride
saying.
over.
Like they said, I must have ate something.
Yeah.
Like this can't be real.
Yeah. That's
So,
so wild.
but I got to the point. I'm like, a lot of these questions. And these are questions I had when I was growing up. Like I remember asking questions about the angels. I'm like, well, why can't they? Why didn't Jesus die for them? Oh, well, they picked their thing. And I'm like, well, if he's so gracious to us, why is he not gracious to them?
Right, because they're
Like
creations too.
yeah, and things
Yeah.
just weren't like clicking for me, and I never got those like answered
Right.
at that time. I feel like I have a better understanding now, and for myself, because I definitely don't believe a God thing is really should be pushed off on anybody. I really think anything is to share the story of what you believe, and people will do with it with what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
And I'll get more to that in a little bit, but I just uh yeah, I started thinking about thoughts like that, and it just that didn't make sense to me. I'm like, well, if he died, why he can't send his son down? He died on the cross, and like, why make it to where if somebody doesn't hear of your name, like they're just doomed?
Yeah.
Like that just. But on the same time, people on the other thing is like if there's abortions have been done, or there are many, many, many children that have died at such a young age that they
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a concept to be able to even say the sinner's prayer, or
Right.
to even believe or even understand anything. Like,
They're not even
I was
self-aware
taught,
of
like,
it.
oh, they're in a special place in heaven,
Uh-huh.
which isn't biblical in that way.
Yeah, it's so strange.
It is. It's because and I didn't realize that. And that was one of those things that once I started doing research, I realized there's a lot of things that Christians do that just are things that they do because it makes them feel better.
Uh-huh.
It's not necessarily even scriptural. Like you'll hear people when a kid dies from cancer, it's like, well, and you're trying to make sense in a hard situation. I get it, but you hear things like, "God, I guess God needed another angel." I'm like, so God wasn't powerful enough to make another angel?
Right.
He had to go and kill a kid? Like that doesn't make any sense.
No.
But that's the stuff that people just say just because it doesn't, because it's hard to make sense of why the kid would be gone anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started to do a lot of research. I started to look into things about like I started reading through the Bible some, started reading a lot of what Jesus was teaching. Like really, I was trying to learn what the gospel was outside, and this is after I explored Buddhism, Hinduism, Muslim. Like I was aware the connections with Judaism, and I was aware of all the interconnections and everything. But I was like, okay, this is the one that, if it's true, makes more sense. But there's a lot of things about it that makes no sense for me to even be to believe it. Like
In the Bible?
yeah, like
Okay.
with the concept of if like just like with being saved, like if they don't hear of the name, then it's like what, they just go to hell. Like that was that was essentially man's choice for not making sure everybody on the face of the earth, like Jesus said, go out and preach to all the nations. Like if everybody doesn't get preached to, it's really essentially our fault that somebody else. And that didn't make any sense because I'm like, well, if we couldn't even save ourselves to begin with, and He sent His Son,
Why is he putting the pressure on us?
that
to
doesn't
do
make
it?
it
Yeah.
just doesn't ring true with what He was saying.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't line up.
Yeah, because like that's so strange to put pressure on us that can't get ourselves out of our own hole to put the pressure on us to get other people out of the hole, and it's like
Exactly.
yeah,
And that's
so crazy. Yeah, it's a good question.
it's bizarre, and people, like, a lot of people don't know. A lot of people, it's not even that they don't want to. They don't have an answer, but they're not even comfortable with even actually asking the question.
Because they don't have the comfortability of saying I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah,
there you go. That's
and
really
that's
what it comes
and
down
that
to.
and that's a lot of atheists, I think, are very comfortable in saying that a lot of atheists, they don't think that they say that they're atheists just because they're anti that, but in reality they're just agnostic, and they're very comfortable with just being like, I don't know.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I'm at right now. It's like, I don't know.
yeah.
It's
And
like
that's a fine place to be.
Yeah, because I was raised one way,
It's
and
at
I'm
least
like,
more honest than
yeah, of course.
not even exploring anything at all.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I'm like, I got my whole life ahead of me to keep learning more and more. And if I die at the other end, God is there, and I'm like, okay, cool. Then I would believe that I would have the same perspective I am right now on the other end,
Yeah,
or on the other side of this physical plane, to be like, okay, got it. So that was and I probably could have had life a little bit easier living in the quote unquote bliss of Christianity, but at the same time, Christians go through a lot of hardship too, and so
oh yeah,
life is still lifing.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So I started to do a lot of research into, like, I was reading into Genesis, and I came to where Genesis 6 starts, and it just talks about like the sons of God lusted over the daughters of man
Okay.
and all that stuff, and then it was just like, and
Sons of God referring to the angels?
Yeah.
Okay.
and it says something to that nature, and then it's like, and then it here.
Pull
Just-
it up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna read that at it, for context, because it's literally word for word of the other thing that I'm about to talk about. But so when man began to multiply on the face of the, so this is Genesis 1 through 8. when man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in a man forever, for he is flesh, his days shall be 120 years. Which is funny because you probably heard that verse about
Yeah.
the 120 years. I've never heard it in the context of what it was actually said in.
So angels are dying.
Yeah.
System of Down was correct.
Right. And so the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward. And this is talking about the flood.
Yep.
This is right. This is the chapter of the flood. So the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward. So everything in the flood did not get destroyed, like we once believed as Bible study or Sunday school or whatever.
Yep.
And
Minus the people on the boat.
right. Well, yes.
Or the animals on the boat.
And also afterwards, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them, these were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. That's a pretty, like, I mean, I don't know how people skip over that in church. Like, the sons of God came into the daughters of man. Like, that's pretty specific.
Yeah.
Like, there's no jump.
also-
I don't know how you jump around that and just act like that's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a metaphor.
Yeah. It's also kind of funny when if atheists say that they're being pretty biblical.
But that and then it just goes into like about Noah and everything. But that's like that first. It's actually the first 5 verses is what I'm gonna stick with. That 1 through 5 in Genesis 6 is that's all it says about giants or the offlings.
Right.
The Nephilim would be the offlings of the sons of God, and then a daughter of man. Like that's their children is the Nephilim, and half, the hybrids, demigods, whatever.
Right.
And that was. Demigods just comes to my mind so much because my girls love Moana, so
yeah.
I know about a demigod.
Yeah.
and
it also makes it interesting is like, okay, if that text is also true, like that's been around for a while, and like even the concept of that text not even written down,
yeah,
but the stories of it, like if the Bible has only been around for 6,000 years or whatever, did the Greeks take those stories of that text that you just text that you read, and made demigods and like Zeus and all of his demigods that are a part of it? Does that make sense?
no, I'm following you.
I lost my train of thought while I was in the midst of it, so I was like, let me get this train back on track.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I can see that.
So it's interesting that it's like, okay, maybe the stories are still going on, and then like they're like, oh, then they twisted it a little bit to fit their own reality that they had at that point.
That is a possibility.
Yeah.
And not quite the possibility I arrived at, but I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah, because when you said demigod, I immediately thought of like the Greek
Hercules and stuff like that. Yeah, probably
Greek,
where you went to.
Yeah, Greek mythology is where
Yeah.
I went. So I was like, I never even put those 2 and 2 together.
Interesting. So, I was like looking into that and everything, and I was like, well, this is straight up in here. And I'm like, so I was looking around, and that's when I probably have heard of, I knew who Enoch was.
Yeah.
Like I'd heard Enoch and Elijah were the only 2 that in the Old Testament that just got taken up. They didn't die a regular way.
Right.
Like, I don't, that was what I know. And, but I didn't know much about the book of Enoch or anything like that. And, so I stumbled upon that, started looking into it, seeing how it's not canonical. A lot of, especially the Catholic Church.
Canonical meaning.
Something that they look at as true.
Oh, okay.
Overwhelmingly true.
Got it.
And that it was inspired by God, and that it
Got it.
belongs to be in the Bible. And I was just at a place, I was just like looking at it, and I'm like, all right, so this is weird. Let me look at this. And then I'm like looking into it, and I'm like, all right, well, there's 3 books of Enoch. I'm like, well, what's all this about? So I'm looking into that. And I have come to find that as far as being inspired in something that I believe, actually the book of Enoch is known in the Ethiopian Bible. They recognize it. It's in there. It's canonical to them, but it's only Christian religion, like Christian sect or denomination, I guess.
Okay.
Kind of thinking that has that. Just like you were raised probably similar to me. Like we don't have all those extra books like First and Second Maccabees and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
Catholics do. Well, Ethiopian Bible is the only one that you see the Book of Enoch, but they have like Enoch 1, and they don't have like there's really like three Enochs, and the first one is split up in different like three or four different categories, kind of like Genesis. Genesis is spread up in different thing. It flows,
Yeah.
but it's different writers. It's six or seven.
Yeah, it's very timeline. The timeline of it is very spread out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely didn't happen. Like one person did not just sit down there and read all that. And you
Right.
can tell on the writing styles from Hebrew, like you can tell different people had different styles.
Mm-hmm.
So but the funny thing about Genesis 6, like people think that the first like probably 10 chapters were probably written by the same person or similar.
Okay.
But and I'm sure there's probably all kinds of arguments on that too. But that's why we all have to have good conversations. So got to leave some stuff to keep talking about.
Yeah.
But but if you look at it, just happens to be in Enoch 1, chapter 6. The chapters themselves, the rest of them have nothing to do with like the flood. That goes on to something else. But the first 5 verses is almost word for word what's in Genesis 6. Almost like some people try to argue that Book of Enoch was probably made by a spill-off book that was made after. I argue the contrary, that the Book of Enoch was just known. The story of Enoch and what he was saying about the fallen angels, the Watchers at the time,
Yeah.
is what they're talked about. Now, these are not the fallen angels. Fallen angels happen, we learn about within our own Bible. And a third of the angels, went away and all that kind of stuff, which I used to believe like that was just like Satan just talked in a third of the angels. He didn't talk them into doing anything. They were part of the movement. They wanted the same thing that he did. But I was looking at that, and I what I see is that at the time of that being wrote, that wasn't something that they really needed to talk about as much. Everything that he's writing down and everything was just historical, but it's like everybody knew, like at that time when it was written, like it was common knowledge, like of the giants and
okay.
stuff. Like that wasn't something that you really needed to go into. Like to us, it's like, whoa, that's all. Like that's all you're gonna leave in the Bible. There's plenty of places that it doesn't exaggerate in whatever subject you're looking at, because a lot of those times culturally, when it's being written, they're aware of it. Like,
Right.
They're just like, this is just. They're not thinking somebody 2,000, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 years down the road or however long is going to. I would argue with Enoch probably at least 10,000 years, close to it.
And that reminds me of a previous conversation I had with a guy named Brett on my podcast a while back.
Oh, I listened to his.
Yeah, and
Brett Michaels.
Yeah, Matt, Mike, yeah, something like that.
Something.
Brett Michaels, I think that's
Yeah.
a wrestler, isn't it?
I can't.
I can't remember
I
his
hope I
last
didn't
name.
screw it up. But yeah,
Whatever.
I remember.
Brett
I remember listening.
He's the
to
only
it.
Brett on my podcast so far, but
Yeah.
but he was talking about how reincarnation, it wasn't like a weird thing for them. That's why he was like, I think people believe in reincarnation back then because he was the concept. He was like, who do you say that when Jesus came back to the disciples, they were like, who do you think I am? And they were like, some people said that there was Elijah. Some people said that it was, and most people just blow over that concept. But it's like, oh wait, they were saying that he was someone else who came back, which in their life perspective, they were believing that people come back to life, which means reincarnation. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And so, like, just in their own thought process of their culture at that point, they were like, one said Elijah, one said something else, and it wasn't like it wasn't weird for them to be saying, oh, it's you who came back, or even anything, or you're just a new person. You're just a new person who come about. It was someone else who came back, and so that was their mindset at that point, is that people come back.
Yeah.
Which is also very strange.
Yeah, that is interesting.
That they had that thought process during that time frame.
It is, yeah. So, but yeah, I came onto the Book of Enoch because of that.
Yeah.
I got interested in that, and then I started looking into that. And there's 3 books, and I would argue that the first Enoch, there's several different parts, but there's two parts within it. And I think they're not always necessarily in the same order, depending on what version of the Book of Enoch. Like they have
Okay.
the stuff in it, but maybe they're out of mix or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's a thing called the Book of the Watchers, which is
Mm-hmm.
36 chapters, and then Book of the Parables, which just has different things as well. I believe they're probably both more inspired in something that I would argue should be in the Bible, but I get why it's not in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Do you think it's just because of it's easier to comprehend, or do you think it's more of control?
I think it's a mix of fear and control.
Oh, okay.
Like I think um, like it started with I would argue with the Jewish sect with they if you read the book of Enoch, like the Book of the Watchers, if you read those 36 chapters,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things in there that is more of a um blanking on the word prophecies.
Oh, okay.
So what Jesus, like I'm sure you've heard arguments for Jesus and all these things, and like whatever, like Josh McDowell and many other people that have done things, the case for Christ
Mm-hmm.
and all these things that's out there. But when you look at those first 36 chapters and you look at what Enoch is saying that um, is God, and at one point, like he goes to heaven a little bit and has his own experience, which sounds it's very similar, like John's view in Revelation
Okay.
on something, but just more in depth, way longer than how little Revelation is. And
Wait, which one was more in depth?
like I'm just saying, like they
You
I
said
don't,
one was more in depth than the other. Which one was more in depth than the other?
Enoch's
Oh, okay.
version, like it just it's just a longer format, like
Got it.
it's more in depth,
Got it. Okay.
and a lot of there are some similar things that happen within there, and uh so but with the Book of the Watchers, those 36 chapters, and most of them are very little, like I mean talking like 5 or 6 sentences,
Oh,
and
okay.
some of them a couple chapters worth, or not a couple paragraphs worth, like a
Mm-hmm.
longer chapter. But I mean it's not an you can get through it in just a couple hours, go through all 36, like it's not like it's
Oh,
not going
gotcha.
to take you all day.
Mm-hmm.
But when you read like some of the stuff it's talking about in Enoch, talking about the savior that would come and to redeem and all these things that are in there,
Mm-hmm.
like it's so talking about Jesus, like it's so like just what Jesus said he did and what the life that we know that he lived and everything from history, like it's regardless if you believe he was raised from the dead or not, like just what he did, it's like it's all right there.
Uh-huh.
And it's also quoted, it's quoted in the Book of Jude. And so the Book of Enoch was shut down in the early maybe the 4th or 5th century, and then for about over 1,000 years nobody saw anything. It wasn't until somebody went into I want to say 17th to 19th century, somewhere in there, somebody went over to Ethiopia, brought back several copies from Ethiopia,
Mm.
and like discovered it
Right.
within the Bible. Like, whoa, what is this? What are these extra books that we don't have? And there's a lot of controversy when it came out, because I mean, and it was quieted down. Like the Catholic Church, as we know, burnt lots of books, especially if it didn't align with what they believed.
Yeah.
So there's so many of them. Like we don't have any original copies of any of them. But what happened was when he found these copies down the road a little bit, and I want to say like 1944 to 1954, somewhere it's like a decade of when the Dead Sea Scrolls and those tunnels and everything that were found. And the first one that was ever found, the Book of Enoch, was in there, and they found fragments that were not only in Greek but also in Aramaic,
Mm.
which they believe was probably the original language that it was written in.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing where it was translated from, as well as the other translation that they would have been pulling it from. So it's not like you're just finding old Greek things that just has it. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
finding also those as well. as well as in the same thing outside of the book of Esther, every other book in the Old Testament, you're finding all those books in there as well. Maybe not word for word. There's some discrepancies in certain aspects, but the overall storyline and everything else is there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, that's just like the Gospels. It's like the four
yeah,
books are the same, basically the same stories, just told a little bit different from different people's perspectives.
yep.
Yeah,
I think only two of them
I mean that's the
actually
same
met
thing with a
Jesus
car
too.
accident. You have a car accident, you have four different witnesses,
Yep.
all of the same accidents can be
Stories sound a
told.
little different.
Yeah.
It's almost like a different, but the
Mm-hmm.
perspective, how it can change a story is just incredible.
Yeah.
How people see something, how they describe the same thing, is just
Mm-hmm.
incredible. Like uh, when you look at like the four Gospels, all four of them say like the thing that the plaque that was over Jesus, like Jesus King of the Jews, is what
Right.
probably what we remember. But if you look at all four of them, each one of them is a different way of saying it. It's different.
Right.
One of them doesn't mention kings and all. Like literally, it's just not exact in any way. But it's a plaque that went above.
Mm-hmm.
It says something about Jesus. Like, and that's the thing that they share. But we don't necessarily know. Some people argue that whatever John put, which I don't, I'd have to look offhand like what he said, but because
Right.
he was one of the disciples, more than likely, that that's who they believe wrote it and everything. There's no, I mean, it makes more sense for him to have wrote it, but there's no like tangible proof of that. Um, but it just makes sense on how he, his perspective and everything. Thing different about him is Jesus carried up the cross by, like he never mentions anybody in the crowd coming to help him carry the cross. Not
Mm.
in John. Matthew, Mark, and Luke do, and they all say it differently. But this guy always came from the same place, same name. They just way they word it is a little bit differently, but it's the same. They're saying the same story,
Mm-hmm.
but they're different. So it's like you wonder, was that just like a rumor that went around and people, because people that weren't there, like things spread, and we've all done that little test in school at some point or another when you stand around a circle and there's like 20 people and you say a
Mm-hmm.
secret, and when it gets all the way around it's a different story. It's because if you're not just repeating literally what you just heard and you're putting your own interpretation into it, your own translation into it, or paraphrase, I guess, so to speak, it changes it over time. And that was something that makes sense. I'm not, like, I believe it's inspired. I don't believe, like, I was raised it was almost word for word, but I cannot align with that when you
Right.
really look at it. It's like I believe it's inspired, and then the message that it needs to get across is there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe it's word for word, because if you clear as day see that there's inconsistencies.
Yeah.
So it's coming to terms with that and being okay with that,
Yeah.
and coming as like being more born in like a fundamentalist type of household. When God's word is just like they hinge on every little thing. Well, when you find inconsistency like that, it's the whole thing kind of starts falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to. It's just really hard when that's the viewpoint perspective that you looked at it out of.
And that goes back to what it says is the answer of I don't know versus
Yes.
people gotta have a scaffolding to, well, at least in most religions have to have a scaffolding to bank it on, so they rather just say
Exactly.
oh well, and it's like, okay, just so you don't know, dude, it's like
It's
it's not that hard.
it's okay. You're not less than a person
Yeah.
or anything. Like
You're not gonna go to
not
hell.
going to get shunned or something
Yeah.
because you say something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's okay to be, I don't know. But I like to think of it this way. It's okay to have your own
Mm-hmm.
opinion. I mean, a lot of the ways that's how we make our own opinions is based on other opinions we've seen, and then we
Mm-hmm.
form our own based on
Yep.
50 other opinions, and we make our own out of it. And then argue with other people about that one opinion.
And hopefully not go to war over it.
Right?
Oh God.
And so I was just looking into things and everything, but I got, with the Book of Enoch, like I just, with those things, that's what showed me, like I was just seeing like, man, this is what Jesus said. Like this is literally what I'm seeing in the New Testament. Like like if they would add this in there, it would be even more of a compelling story
Mm-hmm.
based on a prophecy type of thing and the odds that those things would come true in those ways. And the funny thing is, Jesus, he doesn't word for word quote Enoch, but he talks about that I have to go away to make a place. When that's what people start talking about, the mansion in heavens, like
Oh, yeah.
everybody gets mansions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's quoted from Enoch, and it's found nowhere in our Old Testament.
Mm.
Nowhere else would he be quoting that from but Enoch. Jude, word for word, quotes a piece of the Book of the Watchers that nobody knew that he was doing that when they
Mm-hmm.
translated it because there was nothing to compare with. It's like, well, I don't know what that meant, but we'll put it in there because they're
Right.
translating what's there. And it didn't conflict with anything. But they come to find out with the Dead Sea Scrolls, and we found out that that was there. And because it was in Greek, that says that just like I'm sure you've heard of different versions of the Old Testament, the Septuagint was the Greek
Oh, yeah.
version. That's what the Old Testament was written out of because that's what they were Jewish people living in the Greek society.
Right.
They had the Septuagint somewhere they could go up to their place and read out of. That's what they would have been reading out of. That's what, if you look at what they quote the Septuagint
Mm-hmm.
word for word, not the old Hebrew type of translation, but that's just the one that they had. Um, and that's also what Jesus would have learned off of too. Would have been the
Right.
Septuagint.
Yeah, because he had been reading out of their same.
So, and he would have understood the Book of Enoch, and it wouldn't have been something. It's not something they needed to talk about as much. They just knew about it. Like, yeah, that's something that happened in the past.
Right.
It's done now. They're gone, and that's just what's there to talk about anymore. It's a lot to talk about. I want to know. I wasn't there. I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're not looking at that. It's like more like just that generation. Just what do you mean? Like what's there to do? That's done. Let's focus on other things now. Like
Yeah, they're over.
yeah. And
I
it's
wonder
like,
if that's where the story of Bigfoot came in.
well, probably a lot of things, but I started to get to the point that I was like, all right. I started when I read the Book of Enoch and well, specifically the Book of the Watchers.
Mm-hmm.
On the angels. It was talks about 200 angels, which were called the Watchers, but that's essentially what they were.
Okay.
And they were watching over Earth and everything, and they were enticed and drawn to the women.
I get it.
And I believe personally that it was the line of Cain,
Mm-hmm.
which would make more sense. You don't see anything in Jewish text or anything saying of anything with multiplying with the sons of God or angels or whatever, however you want to call them. Like,
Okay.
it doesn't talk about that, so it would make more sense with the line of Cain for me,
Why is that?
because there would only been two lines. Like he had three sons. One of them, Cain killed the middle son. What ended up being the middle son? It was the youngest at the time.
Oh,
Abel.
right.
But then when he had Seth, I believe it was.
Maybe it's the third.
And that's the line that goes back to Seth and then to Adam and then to Jesus, because Jesus created everything. Like that's the line that it gets to Jesus again down the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the same line, but it goes through his third son. Second was murdered by his oldest, and his oldest one, we see a line that goes down like many generations, but then the line stops at the flood, and that's when Noah and his three sons, that line starts again. Which, if you look more into that, it's almost like the Canaanite line still lived on because they were obviously of the same type of people. They were
Right.
Arabic type of Jewish type of
Yep.
Arab skin, olive skin type of people, and it went from that. And then I'm sure you've heard the story of Noah. Then we can get back to what I was talking about. But book of the story of Noah when after the flood, when he got drunk on wine because the earth was different. I believe it was more of a greenhouse effect. It was a much nicer, perfect version of Earth than we have now. But when all that was taken away, he was getting drunk on stuff that didn't used to get him drunk like that, like because fermentation and all that stuff was different after the flood.
Mm-hmm.
And because he talks about him, it's like this. It just didn't make sense how that was doing it, but that's because the Earth is not the same anymore. And Ham, the middle son, saw his dad naked and in a stupor and everything, and went outside and told his brothers, like, "Hey, Dad's in there drunk, bro." And they were like, "We're not going to do that." So they both walked in there backwards with a blanket on each of their shoulders to cover their father up so they didn't have to look at him. They weren't going to dishonor him in that way. And when he came to, he cursed Ham and his descendants, which would be what we see in Iran and things of that nature now, and then Saudi Arabia, all that, all the countries over there outside of Israel. And then I believe his oldest was Sham or Shem, one or the other, and then youngest was Japheth. And both of them were blessed. The oldest son obviously got the first fruits, but he even blessed the youngest, and he cursed the second one. The second one, the Ham, didn't get anything by his actions. and I believe that's probably like the line that is still antagonizing the Jewish people today is the line of Ham. And but back to so yeah, that's what kind of the Book of Enoch kind of, and it makes sense to me because Noah, Enoch was Noah's great grandfather, so it would make
Oh,
perfect
yes.
sense. And I mean, even if you go down the line of Adam all the way down, it was I forget what Noah's dad's name is, but I think it's Lamech or something. But it's Noah's dad, and it was like 8 or 9 generations from Adam. And Adam, if you looked at how long he lived versus when all these other ones were born and how old they were when they had kids, Adam, if they stayed close, which I'd imagine they probably would have somewhat, if you're still living, because you live hundreds and hundreds of years, and these guys were living 900. Adam lived 930 years. If you look at all that, he would have met Noah's grandfather. It's funny that he didn't meet Noah, the one that was going to carry on the new world.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped right there, the generation before it, the dad, which Lamech was the son of Methuselah,
Right.
which is the one that Enoch said had to have died before the flood would happen. And Methuselah dies a couple weeks before the flood.
Isn't he the oldest one in the book?
He's the oldest one that ever lived at 969, or
Yeah.
oldest recorded,
Right.
at least. But the years didn't really start until after the flood is when everything started to shift down. Everybody lived close to a whole century,
It's probably because there's
or not century, millennia.
right, millennia,
like-
right? Yeah,
like-
because you were saying it was the greenhouse effect, and it was just like the
Yeah, like everything was more in its purest form.
mm-hmm.
And after the flood, like things got destroyed, and everything just the seasons are faster now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when more of the 120 years cap, which I mean, technically we went over 120 years a little bit. I mean, I think the oldest living one was like 120 something. Nobody's ever broke 130 on recorded history. I think 122 and 127 is the oldest recorded, but it's in the 120s.
I want to see that.
You look it up.
Yeah, I think we might be at 30s now. Oldest living person, modern times.
I know it's a woman. That's the oldest one recorded now.
Oh yeah, the oldest one currently is 115.
What's the oldest recorded?
Let's say Wikipedia. 122. Is that what you looked?
I said it was either 122 or 127. I couldn't remember.
122.
So 122. So yeah, it went over the 120, but I think that was more of like
122 and a half.
yeah. I'd say that's pretty close to 120 cap.
Yes.
I mean it's pretty close.
Yeah, that's really crazy. I thought I saw something the other day. Not the other day, but like
I'm
the
sure
other.
people claim different things.
Yeah, yeah,
But what's proven is a different story.
yeah. Oh, the
Which is
claim,
funny.
the claim of the oldest person in the world being
Yes.
157.
Yeah, the claim. And the funny thing is, like, I wouldn't even want to live that long. I don't want to live to be 120.
I do.
That's a long time, man.
Yeah, dude. I would love to live.
If I was
live
living
another-
like I am now at 120, it'd be
Yeah.
different. But I mean, if you're falling apart and
Yeah,
and
no,
you
if I'm decrepit. Yeah, no.
yeah,
no,
like
no.
I'm not trying to be miserable.
No, I would love to live. If I was even as if I was 50 years old, 60 years old,
Yeah.
the same, the same vibrancy for life.
Oh yeah,
Because I mean, my daddy's 70 now.
is he really?
Yeah, 60. I think he's either 69 or 70. I think he just turned 69 this year,
Wow.
in January. So he's halfway through 69.
It still looks good for his age.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's the thing about moving. Just keep moving. You won't.
He doesn't stop.
He doesn't stop moving. That's what he says. He's like, as soon as I stop moving, I'm gonna die. He's like, I'm just gonna keep moving. I'm like, you keep that up, because I don't want that time to happen. But yeah, if I was like the vibrancy of him at 125. 130, I'll be cool. I'll be cool with that, because that's
Yeah.
another 90 years, dude. The whole world's gonna flip over in another 90
Oh,
years.
absolutely. it
Just the
will.
way the technology's exponentially
Yeah.
changing.
It's progressing fast.
Yeah. It's progressing really fast.
Oh yeah. So that's kind of just where I got on
Mhm.
things, and yeah, I started to look into like more things. But that I was starting to figure out. I was like, all right, so the story is like 200 Watchers, angels came down, and they made a pact together because they all were like, all right, this isn't like we're not supposed to do this,
Mhm.
and they're all like, well, we're gonna do it together, and we're just gonna make a pact. We're gonna go down the same ship if it
Yep.
goes, and they did, but they didn't do it in like a. They genuinely were trying to make their own path in a way, like they weren't. And I have some questions that I won't be able to get answered.
Yeah.
Questions being like, well, why weren't they allowed to do anything different? But that's the same thing as asking,
Meaning,
why couldn't Adam and Eve eat from just that tree? Why make the one tree? Like that's the same type of question.
oh yeah.
Then why couldn't the Watchers multiply with human women? Like why couldn't they
Uh-oh.
make their own way? Like same as like why could Adam and Eve not eat from the tree? Like well,
Mhm.
he said not to. That's literally the only answer we get
Mhm.
is that we were told not to. The Watchers maybe weren't explicitly known, but they talked about it. They were debating it. It names so many. It was it's 200 of them talks about. But there's at least 6 to 10 of them that names by name and everything, like within Enoch and
Mm.
everything. And it's like they're debating. And they're just like, "Yo, we're just gonna do this." And the funny thing is, the mountain that they went on was probably Mount Sinai. Not Mount Sinai. There's another one. It's but it's arguably probably the same mountain that uh, Abraham had his covenant on with
Okay.
God. Probably the same one that the uh, 2 tablets of the 10 Commandments were made on. Like, but it's something about that mountaintop
Mhm.
that it has. It's a connection to the next realm somewhere, almost like a Stargate.
Yeah, I mean, the mystics of today say that there's lots of portals. You can feel more spiritual.
Yeah.
One's in Phoenix.
Oh,
Not no, one's like outside of Phoenix, but it's basically Phoenix.
well, you won't be that far from it in Austin. You have to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, we went. I think it's in Sedona, somewhere near Sedona area.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's not bad. So I got to that place, and then I stumbled on to this other guy that I've read his book. It's Timothy Alberino. Book's called Birthright, if
Mhm.
anybody wants to read it. And it came out probably like 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. And I fell upon this because I was looking for people that were like talking on podcasts about the giants and the
Mm.
Nephilim. And like I was just looking for that stuff. Like I was convinced that it actually happened. But I'm like, can't find regular Christians just talking about that
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I'm like, how do I find this stuff? So I was able to find things about it, but I stumbled upon a podcast, uh, Michael Knowles, which is on the same. He's got his own podcast; it's separate, but he's on the same network as like Ben Shapiro
Mm.
and Jordan Peterson, I think now.
Yeah, Daily Wire.
Yeah, Daily
Mhm.
Wire. So he has a segment on there, but he's got his own podcast too, and I've actually never watched his show on Daily Wire, so I don't
Mm.
know what that's like. But I've watched his podcast, and it just happened to have that writer on there, and he was talking. He's almost like a modern day Indiana Jones. Like he's lived in Peru. Like he dropped out of high school as a senior and moved down there and lived there for like 10 to 12 years or something like that before he moved up there. Speaks the language,
Mm.
like learned all that stuff and everything. But he went down there to explore, and he was always just couldn't be tamed and everything. Like he's got to go out there and do something. And he has some thoughts on a lot of things. And I don't have a list of everything I don't agree with him on, but I mean I don't necessarily align with every little thing that maybe he believes or whatever. Because a
Mhm.
lot of it is just uh, it's opinions. It's not a lot of it. Like you're not gonna like he says it really well too. He's like you're not gonna look at the Old Testament, read the Bible, and just come to these conclusions.
Right.
Like nor do you have to. Like the message of the Bible, what it needs to get across, it does get across. This is more for people that need more, like the intellectuals, the ones that are deeper thinkers. Like
Mhm.
not everybody does that, and if that's not you, like if that's somebody that's like, or if you're somebody that's I don't really want to
Yeah.
like mess around with what I believe or whatever, well then do you like don't do it, like that's fine. But there are those of us that seek truth regardless of what we're going to find, even if it's possibly going to come against something that we already believe.
Yep.
But the search for truth means that much more. And um, I was looking into all that, and I ended up reading this book, and it was amazing because it was one of those books that I once I read it, like it was like I heard the gospel, creation, how we got here, like everything rang true for the first time, and in a fluent whole story type of thing.
Mm.
It wasn't just something like, oh, I needed that little piece. It was like just hearing all of it the way that he envisioned it. I was like, that is the most made sense, and a lot of it is off the wall, like aliens, and there's a lot of things added in there. But and it's not normal, or it's not what everyday people.
And that's in Birthright.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's to me it showed me a lot of things, like one thing it showed me is like my question for the angels. I kind of got that. I was like, well, why are they made, and why didn't they get redemption? Well, they were made in the image of God as well, and Book of Enoch talks about that. Talks about that was the trade off, because that's the whole part of birthright, is that you can't just come down here, like if he's given man dominion of the world. Now man can destroy the world if they want, but
Yep.
we got the dominion over it, and it was just like the angels come down, or the Watchers is what they're called, but they made deals with the fathers of these daughters. It's like, hey, like, and they weren't just coming down to just sleep with all of them. Like they literally, they were picking one. They wanted just the one wife,
Right.
and this is why I have questions, because it's like, it's not like they were just whoremongering it up.
Right.
Like they literally just picked one and then loved their children. But the issue was, it wasn't made to do that. You were crossing creation.
So they had pretty much the same mindset that Adam did when in Eden, because he was like
Doing his own thing, like I'm gonna
well
make one.
of the him not feeling like it was he was the one. He felt alone, and so he was like, why don't I have a mate? I see mates all around.
Yes,
And
yes,
so the angels
Yes.
were saying the same thing.
yes.
Yeah.
The difference was, angels, all that knowledge that me and you look for, and we wish we could just have the unlock of all of
Yeah.
it, and it just be the download that we need to have all the answers of everything. That was something that these angelic beings, they had all the answers. There wasn't anything that they like. I'm sure there might be some aspects to God that they don't know, but they knew quite more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they're in that realm. I believe now that, I mean, I believe Jesus was the singularity. He's the Big Bang. He is, everything was made through him, by him, for him,
Yep.
to him, everything. But, the thing about Enoch, and the reason I believe it's not in there, is that for Jewish people, it points too much towards Christianity and
Right.
with Jesus. And then for the Catholic people,
They like
that,
control.
that's like, what do you do with it? That's very,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like almost like Revelation isn't talked about as much in church. It's just one of those things. It's like, man, that really just, you can't ignore those 36 chapters of that part. So let's just like, we don't take the book all together. Like, it's heresy and all that stuff. And
Yeah,
but
so like the Jewish belief system is too pointing towards Christianity, or I guess towards Christianity, but towards Jesus, and the Catholic Church is too rigid in their religion.
it's
of
going out of
being
their perception
it's
of their religion too much.
Yeah, too rigid, because they're more what's the word I'm looking for? They're more routine.
Yes.
Yeah. Because
And
by doing their routine,
and man
gets them
focused.
basically, yeah,
Like, man is the origin of all creation. Like, we're the
Right.
centerpiece of why he did it all.
Right.
Earth was only made, universe was all made just for man. Even though man has barely discovered any parts of it, like,
yeah,
and gotten to anywhere. And then what we can see, like, I think it's like something like 60,000 stars per second leave further away that we can see anymore. Like, they leave the realm, like, because it's expanding.
it's so
So
insane.
it's like 60,000 a second.
It's so insane.
Like, that's wow. That's
Yeah,
a lot.
and
of
it's wild to think like a lot of those stars out there probably already burned out. We just haven't
Yeah.
seen the experience of it yet.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
But when I looked at it out of like Jesus being the center of the universe and what it was made for and what it's for, and not humans, I was able to accept that angels are like almost like an elder sibling race
Okay.
to humans. Like they were also made. Like when in Enoch, when it talks about, it goes back with the fathers of these daughters and making the deals. Like they got the deals of the knowledge that says that they were looking for. They got that in
Mm-hmm.
turn of letting their girls, their daughters, to be spouses of these watchers.
So, okay, I'm gonna cut you off because I will forget this.
Go ahead.
So, um, so angels were able to mate with humans, so
Mhm.
they are able to mate with each other. Then, is the possibility?
I would say yes if it wouldn't be for what the Book of the Watcher says, because their complaint was it was all men up there. They didn't have females to mate with.
Oh,
That's why they were
interesting.
jealous of the daughters of man, like,
Huh?
and they wanted them. And it's kind of I'll circle back to that, but it's just an interesting perspective on that.
Yeah.
Um, well, I don't want to forget it. So the interesting thing is the angelic beings, they have all the knowledge that we're looking for.
Okay.
They have all those answers. And a third of them still turn, like, even you take Book of Enoch and the
Yeah.
Watchers away from it, because that happened, I believe, after the fall. Like after a third of the angels, I think that was just 200 extra angels
No, yeah.
that were watching over the earth, because it talks about in the days of Jared, which I believe the days of Jared was Enoch's son. I think his son was Jared, and then Jared's son was Lamech, and then Lamech's son was Noah. No, maybe Jared was Enoch's dad,
Okay.
because Methuselah would have been Enoch's son.
Okay.
So, because Methuselah was Noah's grandfather. So I think it was Enoch's dad, Jared, because it says in the days of Jared
Mm-hmm.
that these things transpired.
Okay.
Meaning, I would imagine Jared was the next generation, and nobody else had been made before then. Which is funny that Enoch is made right after that, so he wasn't a part of the before. Adam would have died the generation before Noah was born. Met even the father of Noah.
Right.
8 generations away, like just unheard of. Like, talk about reunions. Like, it's crazy. Like, most of us were lucky if you meet one great grandparent in your life. Like meeting your great 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 grandfather. Like, come on, like that's just insane.
Mm-mm.
And even when you meet them, it's usually when you're young, and then they die, and then all you remember is just meeting them that one time. Like, you don't actually know them.
Yeah. No.
And but that's kind of like, it's just how those things stops. It's just like, I'll let you. It's like he passes the baton off, but he doesn't let you see the generation before. Like he's not let you. Like Adam didn't get to meet Noah, that eventually was the one that helped start the new world.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how it worked. Like he didn't meet the 3 sons and
Right.
the daughters-in-laws and everything. Like that's not what happened. And it's interesting how, like, yeah, you get to see all the way to this, but you don't get to see the next phase. Like, I'm taking you off. I mean, I think he sees it after the fact, but he's not a part of it while he's here.
Right.
And I've come to believe that, that makes a lot more sense in the biblical narrative when you add that in. It's not something I would stand up in church and like try to convince people over. It's more of like somebody's interested and
Yeah.
they're more of a deep thinker. Like, I'll have the conversation, do with it what you will, but I just don't I don't look at everything the way some Christians look at things the same way anymore. Like, I look at it like they just walking around. There's a little bit of a veil covering over them, but it's okay because the key facts is there.
Yeah.
So, like,
Do you think the Watchers built the pyramids?
nah, I don't really know who built the pyramids, to be honest
Okay.
with you. I've heard all kinds of conspiracy theories,
Yeah.
and aliens did it, and man did it, and there was a river that used to pass through it, and it's not there anymore. The giants did it. I've heard all kinds of stuff. I just, I, I don't know. For all I know, humans did it. I have no issue with it being something different, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's just one of those conspiracy theories. I haven't went down the rabbit hole enough yet to like really garner an opinion.
Yeah. There's a
I
lot of
do believe
holes.
giants made the megaglyphs, which
Yeah.
is like some very old ancient things.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because some of them are down in Peru, and the bottom layers of it like are just so perfect.
Oh yeah.
There's there's nothing sealing them together. You can't even put a butter knife in between them. But if you look at layers that happen, after the fact,
Oh yeah.
they're not as good,
No.
which goes backwards. which makes sense if it was the giants learning the knowledge from their parents that
Yep.
made them. That was the point, because it talks about in Enoch, like they taught the daughters of man like astrology, cosmetics, how to write, how to sing, how to build, like architecture, like it. And that's what makes us human and what makes us in the image of God. And these watchers are the ones teaching them. That tells me that angels are made in the image of God as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think being made in the image of God is more about feelings and what you in free will, obviously, but also the feelings of things. Like just like AI is just getting all up in I use Chat GPT myself,
Yeah.
but it's not. It can't feel. Even if it can try to act like it's feeling, it's not really feeling.
No, it's definitely not feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the difference. And AI can already write better than any human.
Oh,
It
yeah.
can produce things like it can outdo us on an intellectual level.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, the meaning of life is more than just knowledge. But I take even the angelic beings that had that knowledge. A third of them turned their back and walked away. Like they just genuinely just didn't like that they were created. They thought they could do better, even though
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't be here without being created. So it's a lot of pride, a lot of ego. I believe is a lot of people's downfall. I mean, I've struggled with that in my own life,
Yeah.
and I just that's kind of how I've had more peace about not having all knowledge. I'm like, if I'm really look at it objectively, the angelic beings had this knowledge, and a third of them walked away. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Pride, but they had the knowledge, and that's why I don't believe that they're redeemable, because they're eternal beings.
They're
But
gonna just continuously choose to turn away.
like
Yeah.
when they made the decision was made. It's not something
Yeah.
like Satan needs to be prayed for, that he comes and asks God for forgiveness. It's not that God would not have done any of those things, but it's done in such a way on an eternal level when you have all the knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not like us when we pick and choose, but we don't really
We
like.
don't have all the aspects.
Yeah, they have all of it, and they've made the choice. Like the choice is made,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we've gotten to. But that makes sense of things to me on a broader spectrum, like just the human race, how we got like all these kind of tests, and and interesting like enough that on humans, the main thing that we complain about. I mean, there's a lot of things humans complain about, but one of the main things is wanting to know everything, wanting to get there to having just all the answers. But on the other side, they had all the answers, and they're still making complaints that they're not in charge, complaints that they don't have women to sleep with and make their own families because they're in a different realm. And it's just like, and it goes back into Job when God's like, I mean, who is the pot to question the potter? Like, were you there when I strung everything into existence? Were you there? And I don't believe. I used to believe the universe. I used to believe heaven was like this realm somewhere away, and that angels were here when he made the universe. Kind of a way almost people talked about when I was growing up in church too. It was not biblical. It's just people just believe that. But I now think that everything was made through the singularity. Everything was made through Jesus. The universe, heaven, hell, everything was made in there. And that's why there's 70% dark matter that nobody knows what it is. It's a realm we can't see. There's a lot of scientists that they've got, even secular ones, that have gotten to the point of, okay, well, these things are happening, but we just can't see. Like there's something there.
It's like outside of our light spectrum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I just believe everything's here. You know, just like when Enoch and Elijah said that they were taken away, and Jesus, when he ascended to his Father. I don't believe those three individuals just rose up until you got to like the back of the universe, almost like have you ever seen the Truman Show with Jim Carrey? Like getting the back door over there, and he's just like, "See you later," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that's not how
Yeah, because
it happened.
then that poses the question: what's on the opposite side of the end?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it just like once they got high enough, like Jesus knew he can go high enough that
We can't see.
just like when you see a balloon
Yeah.
escape, eventually you can't see it anymore. You're
Yep.
going to get to that point, and that's when he's just because he talks about, and that's why the resurrection is such a big thing. And I never understood the resurrection the way I do now before I read the book Birthright. Like it just seeing the concept of like what he did. Like I've always was taught that it was about the blood and he had to raise from the dead, but a lot of the times the story gets fast forwarded. It's like he died on the cross for our sins,
Right.
and then he ascended to God in heaven. And kind of like fast forwards past the resurrection part. The main part, The main part was that he came back, not that he defeated it. I don't think God defeating death is. I think it's incredible, but I would expect that if you're God.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that
I would
doesn't
think so.
surprise me. Like,
Right.
man, how can you like no, it doesn't make sense to me. I can't do it. I can't make sense of how you did it. But I would expect you to be the one to be able to do it.
Yeah.
You made everything else.
Yeah.
You can think my thoughts and be in my head. Like that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
You made the program. You are the one that made it. Like how how could you not know all the little shortcuts and all the little stuff that you put in there that people don't see? Like sometimes you play video games and there's shortcuts people
Oh yeah.
learn that the developers put out there that if
Yeah.
you do certain combinations,
Glitches.
you can glitch through it or whatever.
Yeah.
You tell me God didn't make any glitches within the system? Like come on, like he was a glitch. Like that's a pretty big glitch. The maker of everything coming down in human form
Mm-hmm.
to show everybody to give everybody an opportunity to have the final download that we won't get until we die.
So you think
That's why I
that?
don't want to live to be 120 now. I want to prolong it that long.
Yeah. Don't suicide though.
No. I'll
Yeah.
take me when he's ready for me to go. I'm just not
Yeah.
going to be doing any kind of crazy surgeries when I get older.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have a do not resuscitate. So
I'll-
if he wants me to be alive, he's gonna
You'll
make
stay,
sure I'm
still stay
alive.
hanging out.
Yeah.
The so when
Balls in your court.
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna kill myself. That's what
Yeah.
you get.
Yeah. So when you pass on, you think you'll just go into that dark matter of outside of our light spectrum?
I think personally, I believe that I will see Jesus at the door,
Okay.
but I believe everybody will.
Yeah.
But I don't believe everybody's going to get to the door and be like, "You never heard my name. You never even heard about me.
Right.
There's your door." I don't believe that's really what's going to happen. I think people are going to get that download just like the angels all had.
Yeah.
They all knew what the whole story was and what everything and how it worked. I believe that we're all going to come there, and you're going to get the download, and there's going to be people that are just like get the download and be like, I genuinely don't want to follow you,
Yeah.
and just take the other journey. And there's going to be people that hit their knees and be like, man, if I would have known all this, like in that, but it's the heart of the man. That's why God says, I
Mhm.
judge their heart. And the heart meaning what the person's made of, what they're driven by. Like, are they driven by all evil and all negative and how we measure that in the world? Or are they trying to do good? Are they trying to push back? If they had all these things aligned just right and do all that stuff, would they believe? Like, he's going to know all those things.
Right.
Like he's all knowing. He's going. I also believe that there could be multiverses. I mean, that's not in the book. That's just my own take. I mean, there's definitely a huge argument that there can be a multiverse, but unlimited different
Yeah.
things. That makes sense for me too. I don't see why Jesus can't have gone through all of them.
That's what I'm thinking.
I would have cried some blood too if I would have done this for like the millionth time. But
Yeah.
I don't think he had to do that. It could have been just for one
Yeah.
time. But even if it was just one time, he knows of every other scenario that would have happened anyways.
Mhm.
And in essence, that is kind of making it multiverses. Maybe we just all don't live through it.
Or it could be crying blood because he knows he's got to do it all at once.
I mean, that too.
And that's immense pain.
That's a lot. And see, it's not the pain of the dying. That's what
Right.
people. I used to get confused with that. But the older I got, I'm like, all right.
Well, that's the pain of the dying, just the pain before the death.
Yeah. Well, but there's some vile deaths out there, especially towards
Yeah.
children, skinned and
Yeah,
raped
yeah.
and just horrible deaths. I don't look at Jesus' physical death
Mm-hmm.
worse than some of those. I really don't. Like
Mhm.
that's not what I mean, it's more than I want to go through, and it's more than like it's a lot. But there's been some pretty heinous murders that even in the last couple hundred years we can look back on, and there's some things that they didn't do to Jesus.
Yeah.
They didn't rape him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's some other things, but that's not what the whole thing's about. It was about being that sacrifice and doing it willingly. But the biggest thing was the resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
He not only conquered death, and that's not surprising for God.
Right.
What it is him doing that and coming back and staying for like 40 or something days, which doesn't matter about how many days he stayed. But that he came back and saw them. They all didn't recognize him. Most of them were just like, we saw him, but we didn't recognize who he was.
Mhm.
It's like because they were seeing him in what Adam and Eve were when they were created. They were created in perfect bodies.
Mhm.
Like for instance, I have an underbite. My niece has autism. I have ADHD. Other people have different
Right.
issues and stuff, physical, mental, whatever. I believe that's uh, degeneration from Adam.
Right.
I believe that the opposite would be true if that story wasn't aligned. You should see, just like with evolution,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak.
It's a de-evolution, I guess.
You just keep getting better and better and better, more enlightened. To me, I see like where it was perfect, and it just slowly just keeps getting degraded.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in a little area right now because of technology and modern medicine that we're living longer. We have access to surgeries and things that people didn't have, so it's still not like live forever, but you can live longer than I would imagine. 50 years would be the average lifespan probably around now if we didn't have like for the
or
average
even
person.
less.
Or even less if there was
Yeah.
no medicine, no shots, no vac. People don't realize like sometimes people forget like we still get like vaccines when we're little babies and or a couple years old or whatever from
Right.
polio and stuff. Those things aren't a thing because we have that.
Mm-hmm.
But it would go back into rampant if nobody had vaccines, nobody got them anymore, and it spread. Millions of people would all die again. Like that's what probably billions now. But
Right. Yeah.
on that spectrum, it was way bigger than any COVID or anything that they were trying to make out. So that's just kind of where I've landed at. It just to me it makes more sense for me to believe that, and with believing that, then I got to a place of like, all right, if these things all played out like this makes more. It humbled me to be able to not look at myself as like, God, I'm the center of it all. Like, no, humble myself that He's the center of it all. I'm just privileged to be a part of the painting, and privileged to have a choice on to serve or not to serve. Like, such a gentleman in that way. And I look back on my life, and I just look back on so many things. I used to like wonder, like, God, are you there? Were you there all those times? And there's just so many times that I look back on my life now, and I can remember. Like one story that I say often when I talk about my drinking is, I remember, and I don't look at this place, Captain D's, the specific one that I see now once in a blue moon. I'm not usually down in that area all the time now, but every time I see it, it's not a negative. I don't look at it like, oh, that's what started the whole thing. Like, no, I look at it for what it is. But I remember a couple months before my DUI, like I just remember having this strong feeling, like it's like not an audible voice, but almost like something was telling me something, and which I believe was God. And I just had this strong feeling like, if you don't stop what you're doing, you're gonna lose a lot. You're gonna make it,
Yeah.
but you're gonna lose a lot, and it's gonna hurt. And I just kind of pushed that to the side, and it wasn't long after like things started shifting, and then a couple years down the road, my first marriage failed, primarily because of my drinking. Like, when I looked at all these things, He didn't stop me. He didn't hold my hands behind my back like, no, I'm gonna show you the way.
Yeah.
Like, He knew what I was going to choose. If He's all knowing, He knew. But what He also knew is that I would come to a point that I would believe, and that I would be where I am, and that one day I would look in the rearview mirror and start picking apart my life and start seeing that He was there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I just was stuck in my own way and doing my own thing, He was going to be daggone sure that when I look back, like, not in a, hey, I showed you, but I knew you were going to make the decisions you made, but I just wanted you to look back one day and just see that I was there the whole time, in spite of knowing what you were going to choose. I just wanted you to see that because that would be no point to show me that other than for me to look back on and be like, I just wanted you to see that I was there, regardless of what you chose.
Yeah, and that's
And I gave you a choice in knowing what choice you were going to choose.
Yep. Yeah. And then also give you the ability to remember it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And grow from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the big thing too.
So
We're gonna transition to a song.
yeah.
What song did you bring?
We're gonna do "Truth" by Luke Bauer.
All right, it's called "Truth" by Luke Bauer. We're looking it up on YouTube, and then we're gonna cancel. We're gonna cut this out just for copyright reasons, and we'll be right back. And we're back. I like that song a lot.
I do too.
Yeah. It's good. The first time you showed me that song, I obviously go into my realms that I hear or see.
Yeah.
And so I went back there, but this time I actually heard the lyrics because normally my first time I hear songs, the voice is just like an instrument, and then I have to go back for a second time to hear like the lyrics and pay attention to it. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna pay attention to the lyrics this time instead of just enjoying the realm that I get put into.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, my entire life, whenever I hear music, I see music videos in my head, or like I go into a realm. So it's really cool when someone shares a new song for me. And so, but yeah, so when I saw it the first time and now at the same time, I was just sitting on the back of like an old truck and driving through like a dirt road, just rolling through an old timey town. And it was like black and white, but like had a little bit of sepia tone to it. But it was like that brown, like Little Rascals kind of feel, that realm. But there was a few things he said in there that I didn't pick up the first time because I just wasn't paying attention to the lyrics. But one of the things that he was saying, he said something along the lines of having too much to wear or something like that.
Being overdressed.
Being overdressed, that's it. I was like, oh, I like that lyric. It's just like there's a lot of people out there that are trying to put on a face to be, I guess, accepted by people or accepted by God or whatever. And the best version of you is just being you, and then finding your tribe in the midst of it. And you don't have to put on a face. You don't have to just be the best you can be. And then that's like I think the key of the key of happiness, because if you're trying to be someone else, then not your genuine self, then it's like you're gonna be struggling the whole time. And it's like, because you're not just being genuine. And that's oof. I hate, because I used to not be genuine. Like I had to try to put on a face or try to whatever, and it's not that way anymore. But and then the other one I can't remember, but that was the biggest one that stood out to me.
Cool.
What made it so impactful for you?
It just like first heard it probably like 4 or 5 months ago, something like that, and it was just resonated with me on like just my own search and everything. And I just like how the ending is just like, something to be coming out of the grave, like that he couldn't find. And to me, I just look at that as just like I couldn't do salvation. Like I can't, like, and that resurrected thing was something that I could never do, could never find. I'm not gonna find it until it's happening,
right,
and everything. So it was just such a cool, deep, moving song, like that, simple but really made you think. And it's just what just really resonated with me.
The while I was listening to that songs also give me deep thoughts as well. And I was like, it also made me think back of when this whole conversation, we can end on this, but when you were in your searching phase, it didn't seem like you said that you felt I don't know, necessarily lost. I don't want to say hopeless, because that is the question I want to ask, is like, during that time of trying to get over your past belief, and then you've come back to it a little bit or something, but just in a different form. Did you feel hopeless at that point, and now you feel hope for a different
hopeless, like when I was just between the two versions of how I thought of Christianity in the beginning versus now?
Yeah. And then now, do you feel more hope of? Did you feel hopeless when you were like at the point of like there is no God, and then versus now?
I mean, I felt hopeless then, but I like part of that, like I don't feel hopeless now, but it just my search and everything. Like now, I'm at a place that I'm more like stern, like not stern, but like more established with what I believe. Like I've made it my own belief, and things make sense to me and everything. But
and did that because of your establishment of your belief system? Was that the hope? Did that bring you the hope, or was it the subject itself, meaning God in this state?
a little bit of mix of that, and also just humbling my own self within the mix of all the cosmos and like
Okay.
what my place is in it is.
Uh-huh.
That I'm not really that big of a deal.
Okay.
Like I'm big of a deal like for what he did, like for him and what he was doing, but that doesn't like I'm not powerful. I can't change everything. I can't tweak people's way of thinking. Like
Mhm.
I can just be myself and just try to show people some truth that maybe I found, and if they want to listen to it, they do. If they're not, that's fine. And maybe I'll learn something from that person. But
Mhm.
it's more of like I will say one thing that whole thing has done is I'm not scared to die anymore, which I wasn't scared to die when I didn't believe in God at all.
Okay.
Now I don't. I'm still not scared to die. Like to me, I'm actually the opposite. Like kind of looking forward to the next phase, whatever it is. I'll
Okay.
wait my turn, but
Yeah. Right.
I'm
Right.
not, but I'm not sitting here like I don't have an attitude like I'm scared of the next thing
Got
or
it.
like whatever. Like I'm ready to embrace when it comes, kind of thing.
Okay, that answers my question. Yeah,
Okay.
because so like in your not believing in God phase, you weren't hopeless. Because a lot of people, when they don't believe in God or like atheists or whatever in their
Mm-hmm.
belief system, they're subconsciously hopeless
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have the next thing coming on after death. But because of where you are now in your belief system, you're excited for it, which then the foundation of excitement is hope
Mm-hmm.
for it to be fulfilled.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Right on.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And it's been a great time. And see you sometime soon.
See ya.